All right, we're live. What's going on? Hello, everyone. Nice and early today. Ain't it nice to be a little early? Instead of coming on at like 11. I know a lot of you try to get to bed early because, of course, we all have our jobs, myself included. And so anytime I can come on early, I know it's much easier for you guys. But what's up? What's up? It's been a good day for me, in case you happen to care. I ran a couple errands, did what I had to do, saw some family, helped some family out. Went to the mall, right? I just bought boxers, actually. Bought some boxers because we're losing weight. I'm 198 and I started at 248. So I started the cut at 248 pounds. For reference, I'm about 6 feet, 2 inches tall. And the boxers, all my underwear are not fitting me. My jeans, I've already kind of replaced a lot of my clothes. I bought clothes in new sizes. I've gotten new jeans. And I'm noticing like my drawers are not fitting either. I don't mean to be TMI here, but I had to get some new underwear. So spent my day running some boring errands, right? Came back, hit the gym, got a nice little workout in. And, before the streams, I like to walk. I can't just start the stream. I don't know what it is. I don't know why that is, but I noticed I never even really realized I was doing it. It was kind of a subconscious pattern that had been recurring over the last few weeks. And I'm like, why am I insisting on doing cardio every single time? Because I wasn't always doing cardio. And I noticed when I do like 20, 30 minutes on the treadmill after my workout, I come straight home. Maybe I'll have like an apple or some water and I just go live. And then I'll have my post-workout meal later, which is probably not ideal, right? I'm starving my body of glycogen, but I find that I'm like very sharp after the workout or really after cardio. So if you ever feel brain fog, if you ever feel like you just can't think straight, go for a 20, 30 minute incline walk, or even go for a walk outside. There's true power in walking. So yeah, I got boxers and I walked. That's what my day was. How was your day? No, I'm kidding. It was a good day though. It's been beautiful here in Connecticut. Absolutely gorgeous. It was around 70 degrees today. It was around 80 yesterday. Yesterday was quite hot, actually. The first, I suppose, hot day of the year. So that was really nice. I got to get out and feel the weather, burn a little bit. Not really burn, but just get blacker. I don't get tan. I just get dark. I suppose that's getting tan in a way. But so I actually avoid the sun. I wait until like 5, 6, 7 o'clock, around the evening when the sun has kind of gotten lower. Gotten close to the horizon because I don't want to burn. So, I know for a lot of you pasty niggas, you guys want to get burnt. But for me, that's not the goal at all. So I try to keep it very clean, stay out of the sun. But yeah, quick cardio before the stream goes a long way, man. I cannot just start the stream. I can't just get up and start the stream. No way. Brain's not moving, blood's not flowing. You gotta move. You gotta move. You gotta run. You ever go for a run and then you come home? Are you not at peak creativity? None better than that, right? And if you haven't gone for a run or you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe give it a try. So Myron is sleeping. I'm almost positive he's sleeping. I know a lot of you guys are looking for him. A lot of you guys probably came from his stream that was scheduled for 7:30 and you're like, what's going on? I don't know. I called him. He hasn't answered. So I believe he has after hours tonight. I thought, let me just go live now. And then once he jumps on, if he wakes up in time, we can go for as long as he wants to. I know he has some true crime that he wants to cover. However, I don't know if he'll really have the time to do so. So I thought, let me try and fill in the gap, be the substitute teacher until he wakes up. Because I know a lot of you guys are waiting. And of course, you want the show before the after hours. Here we are. So it's not Myron, I know, sorry, but this is the best you're going to get for now until he wakes up. I called him. The guy didn't answer. Poor guy doesn't get much sleep. He's very tired, so I'm not going to spam his phone and wake him up. If I call him once and he doesn't answer, then I know he's really tired. So I'm almost sure he's just sleeping. But, Myron has a really jam-packed schedule. What you guys see front-facingly is the tip of the iceberg. He's got a lot going on, so it's tough for him to get sleep. But, rich people don't sleep. Rich people don't sleep. What did 50 say? Sleep is for brokies. Sleep is for poor people. I think 50 Cent said that. I don't even know if he said that. So, yeah, we'll get into the news. But I'm just so happy, man. It's been so warm outside. I can't contain myself. I'm like texting my boys like, nigga, what's the word? You know, got to get out and get this weather. For those of you who live in Florida or on the West Coast, you privileged pussies, you know, here in the East Coast, we actually get like 7 to 8 months of brutal cold winter, maybe 6 months of real brutal cold. And so, you know, spanning all the way from maybe October to now, it just started getting warm. So when we New Englanders, right, when we East Coasters, Northeasters, whatever you want to call us, get warm weather or even hot weather, we abuse the shit out of it. And so, you know, the streets are flooded where I live. Everybody's outside enjoying, having dinner on the street. Outdoor seating is now opening up. It's beautiful. It's majestic. And that's what really makes me, I don't want to go too far here. I know we got to get into the news. I'm yapping, but I really, really love New England. I really love Connecticut because, and of course everybody knows this, but those cold months really make you appreciate the warm ones. So it's almost like if I went to Florida or Texas or California, I feel like it would be cheating because it's actually nice all year round. You don't really need a heavy puffer coat for more than like a month out there, if even that, right? What does it get at a low? Maybe in California, like 50, 40. Maybe it'll dip into the 30s sometime around January, I suppose. It really doesn't get that much colder. So, you know, us New Englanders are real niggas. Shout out to everybody in New England. When we get these warm months, man, we take advantage. So I'm super hyped for the warm weather. I hate the cold. I absolutely despise the cold. Look, I'm Sudanese. So my people are from the desert, okay? My people are from sub-Saharan, or I guess North Africa. I think it's really on the cusp, so it's sub-Saharan, that being the capital of Sudan. And we're desert people, okay? We're camel riders, okay? We're cave dwellers. We are desert people. We need warmth. And I know that because every single time the AC is on in the car, I get angry and I tell my friend, like, hey, turn the AC off. I'm freezing to death. And he's like, bro, we're just getting started. I'm still hot. And I notice, like, I always get really, really cold easily. I'm just not meant for a cold climate, bro. That's not where my people are meant to be. And also, like, I like to be hot. I'm sick. My boy came over to my apartment the other day, and my thermostat was set to 74. And that's how I like it. I leave it at like 73, 74. I don't really bring it down to 68 unless I'm going to sleep. When I sleep, I set it to 68. The moment I wake up, I crank that shit right back up. I hate cold. And I don't know how people sit in the cold. It's like no blood is flowing. I feel like I can't think in the cold. I'm uncomfortable. I hate the cold. So when it's warm out, I'm peak Ryad. I'm peak Ryad. When it's warm out, I'm thinking straight. I'm stronger in the gym. I'm happier. Vitamin D. I feel better. Days are longer. Winter. I hate winter. I hate fall. I don't give a fuck about the flannels and the pumpkins and October bullshit. Fuck apple cider. I hate the fall. Summer and spring all day. Summer and spring only. You know, heat is power, bro. Heat is life. You know? So I got to keep the apartment warm. Even when I like break a small sweat, I feel good, you know? So anyways, I got a super chat. Easy Money Kirsten, thank you so much. Here in Norway, people waking up, so refreshing to see. Yeah, you guys are like what, 8 hours ahead, 9 hours ahead? So good morning. Someone's saying cold is peak. Yeah, you're fried. Look, and you're probably just white. And that's real, right? That is real. I don't know what that study would be called, but in history or historically, you know, races became, I got to be careful with this topic because YouTube doesn't like it so much. I'll steer in this direction. You know, obviously, if you enjoy the cold and you're white, well, that makes sense, right? Because you guys are from typically a colder climate. Northern Europe, Europe as a whole, even in the Mediterranean, you brown white niggas, you guys still get very cold months. Whereas in Sudan, the coldest it gets is what, 70 degrees? You know, or any real African countries. Maybe if you go a little bit further up towards the Mediterranean, like Tunisia, I would suppose in the winter, maybe it gets to like 40 or something, right in the Mediterranean, right? But for the most part, you know, blacks need heat because that's our environment. And then white people, I don't know if I should tell. Bro, I have a friend. He's pale as a ghost. And it will be so fucking cold. And he's thriving. So, that's true. Yeah, white people do have a stronger boundary or resistance to cold weather. Of course, black people can't bear it. You know, I can't bear it, bro. I'm a pussy with cold. If it's 30 degrees out, bro, I'm shivering. Apartment's always hot. I always have the heat on in my car. In the summer, I just roll the windows down. I don't even like cranking the AC on. I'd rather be hot than cold. You know, obviously, if you're super hot or super cold, both are uncomfortable. I'd rather be super hot. Because at least I'm veiny. You know, when you're hot, like you're veiny, I feel full. I feel my blood flowing. I feel like I can think. All right, I'm going off on a tangent about this for way too long. But yeah, it was a warm day here in Connecticut, so I'm very happy. As you can tell, I'm a little bit more upbeat than usual. Sun's out, vitamin D. My vitamin D is low. Got my bloods back. My vitamin D is low. So I've been taking vitamin D, but nothing's like the sun, man. Nothing is like the sun. All right, enough talk about the weather. Super yapathon. So what's happened? Actually, we had a couple breaking stories since yesterday. I'm taking my watch off because I get texts and then I look at my watch and then I lose my train of thought. So a couple major developments have happened since I went live just yesterday, about 12 hours ago, 11 hours ago. And that's in regards to Donald Trump. Of course, Donald Trump has been the center point of every single live that I've done the last 3 weeks. And of course, that's due to the fact that he's the president and his updates on the war have not actually been in line with truth. And of course, the IRGC, Abbas Araghchi being the foreign minister, and Mohammed Gharibaf being the parliament speaker have come out on Twitter several times, and today being another instance where they have denied his claims. If you haven't been paying attention, and I'm going to read an article out of Axios. This article has kind of went viral on X. Everybody's talking about it. Donald Trump has said that we may have a second round of peace talks this weekend. So obviously the weekend has approached us now. It's Friday night. Couple countries like Pakistan and Egypt, a few others had a quad meeting today in regards to brokering another peace talk or peace deal, or at the minimum extending the ceasefire. If you don't know, our previous talks with our Middle Eastern envoy in the Iranian delegation, that being led by J.D. Vance and then Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, took place last Saturday. Didn't really make any much of a difference. The talks had failed. J.D. Vance spoke to the White House and told us literally that the talks did not get anywhere. He said it was a good thing that we were able to come to the table and talk, but we were not able to agree on, of course, the nuclear deal or nuclear stipulations, which is, of course, expected. That's why we're allegedly at war with Iran. That I give credit to. That's true, only to some degree. But anyways, you know, so that's where we currently are. Trump is saying that we may be closer to peace, but Trump has also bragged and boasted about the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is open. And that is true, actually. For the first time, Trump actually said something that ended up being confirmed by IRGC officials. Abbas Araghchi said the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. Remember, the ceasefire is going to last only up until the 21st or the 22nd, so next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. On the coordinated routes as already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Translation, simply put, we control the strait and we've decided to open it up since the ceasefire has 6 or 7 days left, or 5 days left now at this point. We will try and remedy some of the damage that's been dealt to the global oil market as a result of our blockade. And so he said this today, or earlier today when we were live yesterday about 12 or 11 hours ago. And, you know, of course now Iran is making a ton of money. Remember, they only have the strait opened for certain passageways within the water. That's what I'm reading, at least. And so it seems as if though they're tolling these ships. The problem is Donald Trump is now blocking Iranian ports. The U.S. Navy has now begun this blockade, and I spoke about this yesterday, so go check out my most recent video if you haven't been updated on this. I can't go all the way back because the monologue will be 10 years long. But essentially, we've tried to block Iranian ports to choke their government, to choke their economy. In response to them, of course, choking the Strait of Hormuz, or really just blocking it, which has made us suffer as a result. Really more so the world, but we're feeling it too. And I'll tell you why later. So Donald Trump thought, let's block these Iranian ports. And so we've stopped about 12 or 11 vessels at this point from entering the Iranian ports or leaving. So imports and exports. And of course, this is to add pressure to the Iranian economy. The government that's already, by the way, struggling, of course, due to our sanctions and then this war that has not helped the issue at all. And hopefully, in doing this, the plan, at least from the administration, is to get Iran to come to the table. And it's funny because Trump was saying prior, well, Iran is really desperate for a deal, but we're making or taking actions to increase their desperation to make a deal. So it doesn't seem like they're actually desperate because we are taking extreme measures to push them to that desperation that will eventually allow them to concede to some sort of nuclear give up of their weapons or anything like that. That's at least what JD Vance was hinting at when he spoke to the White House last week. So obviously there's not much pressure on them to come to some sort of peace deal. And what's the reason is because Iran is kind of already on the downside. They're fighting in a positive manner from their direction, a war of attrition. They're making this asymmetric for the United States, and they're also showing that the United States doesn't have the deterrent it claims it does. They've shot down a couple jets. They've shot down a lot of our aircrafts. Unfortunately, there have been some casualties, but there's been no ground element, so of course that's expected to be low. Let's hope it stays that way. But despite our vicious air campaign, Iran still seems to be in it. They still seem to have the ability to fight, at least the IRGC. Now, have we destroyed them militarily? Sure. We have destroyed their navy. For the most part, at least. They still have certain assets that actually help them in the Strait of Hormuz to secure their plan and keeping it blockaded or propose a threat to these ships that pass through. But for the most part, we've, kind of decentralized their navy. We've destroyed a good deal of their air force and everything else. And so all they have left, of course, is their missiles program and their drones. And then, of course, their nuclear enrichment that they're doing all underground, by the way, or at least a lot of it is underground. Every part of those programs that were above ground have already been destroyed by our air campaign. So at this point, we've kind of reached a stalemate or a crossroads. There's nothing left to destroy of value except for their power plants. Remember, Donald Trump had threatened, we're going to destroy their power plants, and he didn't do it. And that's what allowed us to enter into this peace deal. China got involved. Pakistan got involved and said, whoa, this has gone too far. We don't want this war to take that step because that will push us to the point of no return. If we destroy Iranian power plants, then the country will be without power, water, hospitals will lose generators, people in ICUs will die, babies, all these crazy things will happen to the civilian population, as well as the fact that they probably won't have much food or water left for the next few days. These power plants, these electric grids are everything for any sort of country in the world. And so Trump was threatening to, quote unquote, send them back to the Stone Age, right? That's what he means by that. That's what the result would be of hitting their power plants or their power grid. Pete Hegseth said that as well. We would send them back to the Stone Age, we'll kill a whole civilization tonight. That's what Donald Trump was saying. And of course, Trump is losing it. He's saying crazy shit. I'm not being a pussy softo by, oh my God, Trump, why would you say that? Yeah, it's unprofessional, it's stupid, but we've already acknowledged that. Let's move past that. The issue is now there's no real option. And that's what I was trying to say a moment ago. There's no real option here for the United States except to enter a second stage of this war and I guess try the air assaults again or try to get this enriched uranium that's likely underground. And Iran has enriched a lot of this uranium to 60%. However, where it gets dangerous or weapons grade, I suppose, is 90%. Remember, previously it was 3% under the Iranian nuclear deal. Now, of course, they've gone to 60%. I want to explain this because I think a lot of people don't actually understand this. And I notice when I'm looking at the chat and I'm monologuing about this stuff, people are really confused. Remember, Iran was always just kind of hedging. That's the whole strategy, is nuclear hedging. So they never actually were going to make a bomb. And that's because of a religious ruling from several decades ago by the Ayatollah. It's called a fatwa. And in this religious ruling, he said that they are not allowed to make a nuclear bomb. That guy's dead now. And his son is now in power and he's a lot more extreme. So we'll see what comes of that. But regardless, Iran has always had the pieces in front of them to make a bomb, but never did. And the whole point of that is to symbolically raise that we don't want you to attack us. So we won't make a bomb as long as you don't attack us. That's the whole point of like hedging a nuke. They could have made a bomb years ago. They have the capability to do so quite quickly. And so what prompted them to speed up this nuclear enrichment and actually try and make a bomb, right? It was the 12-day war, really. Israel attacked them in June. Operation Rising Lion, the 12-day war, and then President Trump put a cap on it with Operation Midnight Hammer. We bombed their nuclear facilities, whatever have you. In that bombing campaign, Operation Midnight Hammer with the B-2 bomber and everything like that, I believe it was a B-2 bomber, we set their nuclear program back, allegedly to Trump, 6 years, 5 years. That's what I was saying, but he said we obliterated it. We set it back several years. Let's just say that, because I can't remember the amount of time he said. But he said that we put a huge dent in it. And so if that was the case, we wouldn't have to attack them in February, but we did because we probably didn't set it back that far. I'd say maybe a year at most, but realistically a few months. So the point here to understand and why I'm going over all this is now Iran, and this is the problem I don't see a lot of people talking about. If Iran was ever going to make a nuke or make a big dirty bomb, as they say in the White House, well, now would be the time, right? Because they've been attacked. And so now hedging doesn't work. We've tried to hedge. We've tried to push close to making a bomb so we can deter you. But us being close to making a bomb actually created the opposite effect. It made you attack us. So now it seems like we have to just have a bomb to guarantee our safety. And that's the position that the United States has forced Iran into. What does that mean for the second stage of this war if it happens after the 22nd when the ceasefire is over? That means that if we don't get a promise from Iran to not make a bomb or to not enrich the uranium to 60% or even higher, then we're going to have to continue this military campaign because now we have exacerbated an existing issue that we now must actually control. Do you understand? If there's any time that they'll make a bomb, it is now. And I'm not saying they're going to race to a nuke. I know there haven't been any official sources that have said such a thing. But I mean, you got to use your head. If you're Iran and you've been hedging a nuke at 60% for years or just a few years after the killing of their big leaders in 2020, like Qasem Soleimani and then Hassan Nasrallah 4 years later, these are the leaders of their proxy group or the axis of resistance. Well, then, you know, at this point, it makes sense after this 40-day, 50-day conflict at this point to actually just go ahead and finish the bomb. So that's my main concern is we are struggling to come to a deal about the enriched uranium and what happens with it. And so that's expected. I'm not really making a big spectacle of that. But my concern is what is Iran doing underground right now? You know, it's no longer hedging. It's racing to a nuke. And this is what Mark Levin said, right? This is what Stephen Witkoff said before the conflict to motivate us to get into war. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli intelligence, they said, well, they're just a second away from a bomb. You know, they're going to make a bomb any second. Mark Levin, I think he said they have chemical weapons. Stephen Witkoff said they're 1 week away from a nuclear bomb. They weren't, though. You know, and that was their said intention. That's what hedging a nuke is. It's a political strategy to protect your sovereignty. One that obviously didn't work. So the presupposed next step, obviously that only leaves one next step, is to make a bomb. You know, threatening to make one didn't work. Now we're just going to make one. And if you're not informed, they have the ability to 1,000,000% make one and fairly quickly, maybe in the next 5 or 6 months. So what happens over the next 5 or 6 months? Because here's the thing. The United States would love to pull out right now. I think, of course, the entire administration knows, but even Donald Trump knows this war is really starting not to make sense. And if we enter the next phase or the second stage, if the war is restarted, which is what all the experts are saying they see happening in the next few weeks, well, then this is going to continue to be an attritional war, asymmetric, and we may have to introduce boots on ground. The reason why Trump is afraid to pull out, aside from the fact that it's going to look really bad for him politically because we actually achieved none of our goals, is now we leave Iran alone after destroying them for 50 days. It's not going to be a 60% enriched uranium situation anymore. Now we're racing to a nuke. And that's really the demoralizing or daunting aspect of all of this that I don't see anybody mentioning. We can't pull out because if we pull out, big bomb is actually coming this time around because the guy who said no big bomb is dead. We killed him day one of this conflict. And his son is a lot more crazy than him. And now he's in leadership. And his whole family was killed by U.S.-Israeli joint airstrikes. So if we pull out, we are just a sitting duck to allow this country to create a bomb. That's why J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, that's why we've reached at straws. We've really been desperate to try and make some sort of nuclear deal with Iran because we want to just walk away from this, but now we can't. You know, we kind of, I suppose, struck the iron while it was hot, but that worked against us. And this is what I've been saying all along. Not only would this be a regional conflict, which it turned out to be a huge regional mess, but now we have poked the bear. And that's the issue. Now, if we continue our war, then Iran may not be able to make a bomb. And if that's the case, we may have to continue the war. It's quite straightforward, isn't it? So, a lot of problems here. I know that we've reached a point where I believe the S&P 500 hit an all-time high a couple days ago, and so a lot of people are anticipating that the conflict is over, and oil prices seem to be calming down a little bit. I know Brent crude is around 91, so still not good, but it's a little bit better than where it was about a week ago at 106 or 108. But that's just because there's a ceasefire. And that's because Iran, by themselves, have allowed the Strait of Hormuz to open passage. You know, they've kind of let these ships pass through. So, you know, this whole moment of peace, I think it may be short-lived. My prediction here, and now we've gotten speculative, so this is not speaking on fact, but rather just what I think will happen. I think we will probably resume this conflict, and Trump is going to go back in and start the fighting because Iran is not going to agree to any of these maximalist demands that I'm going to read out of Axios right now. So I'll go ahead and read what the United States is proposing to Iran. Some of it sounds good, releasing $20 billion of frozen assets and everything like that, but overall, we are still making maximalist demands to halt or completely stop their nuclear capability or their program. So it's just a situation where, you know, both sides are pulling on the rope with equal force. And something's got to give. And I think that give will unfortunately be a second stage to this already disastrous conflict. So I'll read this article right here, and then we'll go through some of the statements from Donald Trump over the last few days. We'll go through some of the statements from Abbas Araghchi. Mohammed Ghalibaf just spoke about 2 hours ago. So lots of stuff to get into. But that's kind of the long and short of what I take of the situation. We don't want to pull out because they're going to make a big bomb. That's quite obvious, I think, at this point. They weren't going to do it before, but now they have all the reason to. And this is what Netanyahu was echoing to Trump when he visited him 7 times in almost a year. He told him Iran is very close to a big bomb, but more importantly, at least for the present time, is they have a ballistic missiles program, mid-range missile program, capable of destroying Israel if they decided to. And that's kind of true, right? I'm not trying to give Netanyahu credibility here, but he's right in saying that Iran has a very capable missiles program. Don't believe me? Check back the last 40 days. They struck UAE 2,000 plus times. They hit Israel several hundred times. Every other Gulf country neighboring along the Gulf, all these GCC countries were subject to drone strikes. They hit a desalination plant in Kuwait that's responsible for converting ocean water to fresh drinking water and other purposes. They hit oil refineries, Aramco in Saudi Arabia. They hit an air base in Saudi Arabia, Prince Sultan Air Base, about southeast 2 hours of Ryad, the capital of Saudi Arabia. And in hitting this U.S. air base, they destroyed our AWACS system and several other aircraft carriers or aircraft systems that are responsible for radar and things like that. And so they've displayed the fact that they have more than enough missiles to make this painful. And they've destroyed 13 U.S. bases across this entire conflict, or the 6 weeks that this conflict has lasted for. This is what Benjamin Netanyahu is concerned about. And as this ceasefire is going on, best believe all of this money that is being capitalized on, or all this money that they are making from the Strait of Hormuz or any support from China, they're just going to put it to their missiles program. They're going to build it back up. If they've ever been building missiles rapidly, now would be the time. And it's all underground. It's all underground. In places we know about and places we don't know about. The drones as well. And then, of course, the enrichment. Lots of issues there. So, this is the result of listening to Israeli intelligence and not U.S. intelligence. Because what did U.S. intelligence tell Trump? They told Trump, this is a bad idea. This will be a long-winded conflict. You can't just conquer Persia. Everybody knows that. Anybody who has some sort of credibility, or really anybody in the IC, would tell Donald Trump, this is a bad idea. Maybe we shouldn't bomb Iran. And that's why Obama did diplomacy with Iran. That's why the last 4 presidents, despite Netanyahu begging them to bomb Iran, said, I'm not going that far. Did you know that? Israeli officials have been begging the United States to bomb Iran for decades. Every single president said, that's beyond the pale. I can't go that far. So, and now Trump is bragging, saying, I was the one to do it. They're all wimps. No, you were the idiot to make the mistake. And now we are seeing the fruits of such a mistake, right? So let's read some chats, and then I will go into this article. All right, so Kev's Garage says, pause on the vitamin D. Okay, thanks for the $2. 07, shout out to you, Ryad. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. Belong to the streets. Brother Tamir. Brother, advice on getting watch hours. I post long video content, but my shorts get more views, but these views don't go towards watch hours. Thank you. The watch hours takes like 2 or 3 days to update. If it doesn't update, use the feature in the top right corner of YouTube Studio to message YouTube and say there's an issue, and they'll usually fix it. But I mean, hey, bro, don't ask me about watch hours. I'm a product of nepotism. I have this motion because of my brother. So it's just brutal honesty. Okay. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show, though. Double S561. Shout out to you for joining Ryad Squad. Hello. Thank you for that, my friend. Welcome. Lotus says, you appreciate the early stream. Like you said, we got to wake up early for the grind. The Strait is open, though. That's good news, I hope. Yeah, it's good news. But again, this is only because of the ceasefire, right? Strait's open because we have a ceasefire that Iran has been trying to honor despite the issues in Lebanon. But now Lebanon and Israel have made peace as well. Peace, heavy quotations on it, right? They have now a ceasefire as well between the two. But we've seen ceasefire agreements between Israel and Lebanon ad nauseum for the last several decades. And they all are for nothing because Israel always breaks it. And that's because they want to annex southern Lebanon. That's the goal. And of course, Hezbollah's there to protect it. So multifaceted issue, honestly, but I definitely don't think that will last. But the Strait's open, so that's good. And remember, even though the Strait is open, for the global oil market to feel the relief, it's going to take a while. There's a delayed effect. Because some of the pain that is going to be felt from the Strait being closed has not actually been felt yet. Do you get what I'm saying? It's delayed. It's kind of a delayed onset. So a lot of these countries are now feeling the pain of these delayed shipments from the Strait being closed several weeks ago. And so when they start to actually get the oil and this relieved pressure from the Strait being opened by the IRGC, that will be in a few weeks as well. So oil may still stay volatile and gas will still stay high for the next 6 or 7 weeks until the conflict remains over. So it's got to get over, right? We've got to finish it, and then it's got to stay over. Kind of a two-step process there. Lotus says, you appreciate the Oli stream. I just read that, sorry. OSS Mall, shout out to you. Member for 1 month. 07, brother, the Ryad train can't be stopped. Shout out to you, bro. Always showing love, man. Okay, where are we? Blockbuster, Trump is the best president ever. Okay. Okay, thanks for the $2. I beg to differ. Super Hobby, $10 sticker. Thank you so much, my friend. Easy Money Karsten made a 1K bet on Israel strikes under 6.5 days. No way. Yo, you can like bet on war now, right? Isn't there some platform where you can bet on war? OSS Mall, thank you for the 5 gifted. Everybody who just got a membership, tell him thank you. 07's in the chat for him. 1K bet on Israel, huh? Bro put a 1-leg parlay on Israel striking Lebanon. Yo, if I had to do gambling, I would just gamble that southern Lebanon is going to be struck in the next 30 days. And it'd probably be like a small payout because that's likely. Isn't that how it works? Where like if the likelihood is high, the payout is small. Is that how it works? I don't know. I've never sports gambled. I don't know how that stuff works. Anyways, Jay Garcia, Ford and GM to help make weapons. Really? Okay, I didn't see that. Thanks for that. Omar, hey, shout out to you, $70, man. Appreciate that. He says, hi, Ryad. Do you know anything about the cedar of Lebanon? According to the Bible, King Solomon used the cedar of Lebanon to build the temple. The second reason Israel wanted to annex Lebanon is because they needed the material to build the third modern temple, which they admitted. Yeah, there is some truth to that, I believe. I've not looked into it deeply, but I have heard about that whole thing. Look, they need a lot of proponents, or they need a lot of materials for, this whole goal. I uploaded a video on this, and I was really scared to do it, but it didn't seem like, YouTube cared so much. So I'm always vague when I talk about this stuff for obvious reasons. But the whole third temple situation, it requires a few different things. And those things, or, these prophecies that must be fulfilled in order for the anointed one to arrive, the Jewish Messiah, well, that is contingent upon certain rituals, certain materials, certain practices, and a certain order. And maybe southern Lebanon has to do with that, right? So potentially can be some truth in that. Obviously, they need the perfect red heifer. They need the ashes. They need the chosen rabbi who has never seen death. All these things, right? Enter the temple, do the ritual. There's a reason why they're fighting so hard for it. So we pray for the people of Lebanon. We pray for Lebanon. Bro, please play the small excerpt from the Senator Sanders on defunding Netanyahu. Okay, I can cue that. Hang on. Try to remember that for you. Thanks for the super chat. All right, I think I have it here. All right. W Brothers in Arms, boom, boom, boom. Okay, thank you, Hard R. OSS, and then OSS Mall, 5 gifted, as I said earlier. And then Faddis says, are you coming to the Miami meetup? That's 420, right? That's in 3 days? Is it still the same time? I don't think I can make it. honestly. I'm still in the Matrix, bro. Okay, we're still in the Matrix. I try so hard to get time off, and, you know, it's hard. So, guys, for those of you asking for Myron, he's slump. Okay, the guy is sleeping. I called him. He's out. So, I feel bad. I don't want to spam him because if he's sleeping that heavy, maybe he just needs it, right? So, called him once. He didn't answer. I know he's probably slumped, so I will join up with him once he wakes up because he's got after hours tonight. I think they're doing the girl show tonight. So he's only got like 2 hours, which is plenty of time, but it's just a matter of whether he gets up. So I thought, let me be proactive and go live now. Substitute teacher, see what I'm saying? All right, anyways. So this is out of Axios. This article was circulating all over X today. It's titled, United States Considers $20 billion cash for uranium deal with Iran. So look at the desperation. Already, this is kind of vindicating what I said. We are so desperate to get them to come to a deal for the uranium. Because here's the thing, too, and I know I'm just kind of elucidating what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything new, but maybe saying it in a different way will help you to understand better. We are doing everything in our power to make sure we don't have to continue to fight. Because if we do, to get this uranium taken care of, look, if Iran says we're not giving up uranium, we're not stopping our enrichment, we're not stopping anything with the nuclear program as a whole, that necessitates a boots-on-ground operation. That's the only way you can get it. You need excavators. You need sensitive devices, sensitive material. You need very qualified people to go and get this stuff out of the ground, very deep in the ground. So the United States is doing everything to avoid that. But likely they may have to take those steps because I don't think Iran is going to give that up. And we have a statement from Iran out of Tasneem News that is going to tell you why they're not willing to give that up. So here, I can go ahead and pull this up. Oops. Hey, there we are. Okay, so this is out of Axios. I thought, why not show it to you guys so you can read with me? Where do I put myself here so you guys can actually see it? Oh, well, I'm reading it for you, lazy niggas. So this is out of Axios. The U.S. and Iran are negotiating over a 3-page plan to end the war, with one element under discussion being that the U.S. would release $20 billion in frozen Iranian funds in return for Iran giving up its stockpile of enriched uranium, according to 2 U.S. officials and 2 additional sources briefed on the talks. Why it matters, there has been steady progress in the talks this week, though significant gaps remain. A deal on these terms would bring the war to a close while potentially generating backlash from Iran hawks. President Trump said Thursday that the United States and Iranian negotiators would likely meet this weekend for a second round of talks to try and seal the deal. That's what I told you guys earlier. The talks are expected to take place again in Islamabad, likely on Sunday, according to a source familiar with the mediation efforts. Pakistan is mediating the negotiations with behind-the-scenes support from Egypt and Turkey. Breaking it down, a top priority for the Trump administration is ensuring Iran cannot access the stockpile of nearly 2,000 kilograms of enriched uranium buried in its underground nuclear facilities. In particular, the 450 kilograms enriched to 60% purity. The Iranians, meanwhile, need money. The parties are negotiating over what will happen to the stockpile and how much of Iran's assets will be unfrozen. They are also discussing the terms on which Iran could use that money. Trump wrote on Truth Social after this story published that no money will change hands, though he didn't refer specifically to the idea of unblocking Iranian funds. Who cares what Trump says on Truth Social at this point? It'll just confuse you more than it will help you. According to 2 sources, the U.S. was ready in an earlier stage of the negotiations to release $6 billion for Iran to purchase food, medicine, and other humanitarian supplies. The Iranians demanded $27 billion instead. And that was probably the total of what they're missing from the United States. And that was in the news. Of course, I spoke about that last week after the failed talks and JD Vance reporting on it. We tried to do this whole thing where we would release assets, and I think some of them we did, but of course it wasn't enough. And now we're blocking their ports, so we're only going to make this issue worse. Materials to the United States, while the Iranians only agreed to, quote, downblend it inside Iran. Under a compromise proposal now under discussion, some of the highly enriched uranium would be shipped to a third country, not necessarily the U.S., and some of it would be downblended in Iran under international monitoring. We had that set up with the IAEA in 2016, by the way. The three-page memorandum of understanding MOU, the 2 sides are negotiating over also includes a, quote, voluntary moratorium on nuclear enrichment by Iran. The U.S. demanded in the last round of talks that Iran agreed to a 20-year moratorium. Iran countered with 5 years. The mediators are still trying to close that gap. As a part of the MOU, Iran would be allowed to have nuclear research reactors for the production of medical isotopes, but would pledge that all of its nuclear facilities would be above ground. The existing underground facilities will remain out of commission. The MOU also deals with the Strait of Hormuz. Through the sources, said there are still significant gaps on that issue. It's unclear if the MOU refers to Iran's ballistic missile and its support for regional proxies. Israel and Republican hawks in Washington have previously demanded that those topics be on the table in any negotiations with Iran, which they definitely will be. Republicans and Trump himself also lambasted President Obama for releasing tens of billions in Iranian funds under the 2015 nuclear deal. Yeah, the issue there is that belonged to them, though. The Trump administration may insist on limiting how the unfrozen assets can be used. Iran has moved, but not far enough. What it takes to make them move forward, we will see, the second U.S. official said. By the way, remember, guys, if we control the way, just as a quick reference so you kind of get why that doesn't work, if we unfreeze these assets, but we nanny them on how it's being spent, well, then it's all for nothing because I'll be honest here, they're going to fund their proxies with it. Like, that's probably the biggest move they're going to take in a lot of those assets being unfrozen. That's actually why Israel was so upset about the first Iranian nuclear deal, the JCPOA, is because, well, this is what Netanyahu had said. We are concerned that they're going to fund their proxies further as a result from the released sanctions of the United States. We release sanctions, their economy bolsters, it buckles down, and the first thing they're going to do is fund Hezbollah. It's probably true. So, is Iran going to concede to having assets unfrozen if it means they can't spend it the way they see fit and it's monitored? That's another question, right? That can also jeopardize these talks and the deal. Lots of issues here, lots of holes. Iran clearly wants the $20 billion and a lot more. They clearly want to sell oil at a free market rate without sanctions. They want to participate in the global financial system, but they also want to have this nuclear weapons program. They want to fund terrorists like Hamas, and they don't want to give up. They don't want to give that up enough to get the things we're offering, the official added. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly said talks had been productive, but the United States would not negotiate through the press, adding anonymous sources who claim to know about the sensitive diplomatic discussions have no idea what they are talking about. Yeah, but I mean, context clues are pretty obvious, right? Senator Lindsey Graham told Fox News that Trump had negotiated spoken directly with the Iranians and that things got sporty on a recent call. So, I'll kind of conclude here. It says what to watch. On Friday, the Pakistani, Egyptian, and Turkish mediators will hold a quad meeting with Saudi officials on the sideline of a diplomatic forum in Turkey. So that's right now, actually. The meeting will focus on the efforts to broker a deal between the U.S. and Iran. Likely that was actually earlier because in that region they're about 7 or 8 hours ahead of us. So, quite interesting. We've got a situation where now Israel and Lebanon have come together for a ceasefire, one that I didn't see coming, I'll be honest. And we are approaching a second round of talks. I don't know who's going to be a part of them. I don't know if it's going to be in Islamabad this time. That's what Axios is saying on Sunday. I don't know how much I believe that may be true. Hopefully it is. But again, in these talks, we're going to have to go over the whole nuclear issue. And the reason why I'm concerned, I suppose I can show you better than I could tell you, is I'll read directly from Tasneem, all of these verified outlets. Iran said that its enriched uranium is, quote, as sacred to us as the soil of Iran and will not be transferred anywhere under any circumstances. Adding that 60% enriched uranium will not leave the country in any way, per Iran's foreign ministry via Tasneem News. Remember, in the Axios deal, one of the stipulations for this nuclear deal to actually take place is that we move a lot of the stockpile and we downsize its enrichment. So that's something Iran is not willing to concede on. They've already conceded in a way from their perspective by it being at 60%. And now they want the nuclear facilities above ground. Why? So the U.S. can just bomb them. Of course. Isn't that quite obvious? So we want to expose their nuclear assets. So if we do need to destroy them again, it's a two-step process like it was in June, right? With Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. And Trump made a bold claim earlier. We can react to this. Let's take a quick look here on X. You should be able to see that. He says on Truth Social, this was today, this morning at 9 a.m., he says, the USA will get all nuclear, quote, dust created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. This deal is in no way subject to Lebanon either, but the USA will separately work with Lebanon and a deal with Hezbollah. He's literally said Hezbollah. Put 2 O's. Hezbollah situation in an appropriate manner. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. Thank you, President DJT, Donald J. Trump. Finally, some condemnation for those strikes that actually jeopardize the deal that we had made with Iran. And then he said again, Iran has agreed to never close the Strait of Hormuz again. It will no longer be used as a weapon against the world. President Donald J. Trump. Okay, that's not true, though. And I'll show you why that's not true in a moment. Because this is what Mohammed Gharibaf, the parliament speaker, on X, his own X account, said in response to that tweet. Take a look at this. So he says, the president of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. They did not win the war with these lies, and they will certainly not get anywhere with negotiations either. With the continuation of the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. Okay, so this is the issue here. If the U.S. continues to block these Iranian ports, which chokes their economy, they're suffering as a result, well, then they're not going to open the Strait of Hormuz. And if they do, they're going to limit the passages in which the Strait of Hormuz is operated from, and they're going to make sure they make money. They'll tow these ships. Okay. He continues on. He said, passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be conducted based on the designated route. That's what I just said. And with Iranian authorization. So they're going to control the strait full stop, and it's going to be an economic benefit for them. 5, whether the strait is open or closed and the regulations governing it will be determined by the field, not by social media. 6, media warfare and engineering public opinion are an important part of war, and the Iranian nation is not affected by these tricks. Read the real and accurate news of the negotiations in the recent interview of the foreign ministry spokesman. Okay, and then he links that down here. And Abbas Araghchi also said here, in line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of ceasefire, which is about Wednesday of next week, on the coordinated routes as already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So, this is the problem. We are so happy, at least I say we, I'm talking about Trump, is so happy that the Strait of Hormuz is now open. It's open for traffic, and we've been seeing that through the radar, and Fox News is raving about it. All the panicans have shut up, and you don't understand. Iran is controlling the strait now, and they're going to continue to control the strait, right? And that's because we are making maximalist demands that only point in the direction of a war restart. Our demands are obviously way too far. They're not going to give up the enriched uranium. They're not going to give up their missiles program, and the United States must have them fulfill those obligations if we are to walk away. Because if we don't, they're going to bolster those programs to the point where the next time we start a war, it'll be a lot more painful. And nuclear war may be in the conversation. So, they're pretty much setting everything up and getting ready for a second stage of this war. That's what is evident to me at this point, right? And by opening the strait, they make a ton of money, okay? It was a weapon to make it asymmetric for the United States. Now it's a weapon to bolster their economy for likely a second stage of this war, which is maybe a week around. So that's the honest reading of the current situation and this whole idea of, the strait is open and we're good. Hey, buddy, the strait was open 6 weeks ago. The strait was open with no issues 6 weeks ago, and by us attacking Iran, we closed that strait. So we're fixing an issue we created out of thin air. Is that something to brag about? We're working backwards. You're telling me it's an accomplishment that we opened the strait? Hey, that was handled before we started this conflict. How's that an accomplishment? Don't listen to the MAGA-tards. And again, this was posted earlier out of AF Post on Twitter. It says Iran's foreign ministry says Iran's trapped enriched uranium is as sacred as its soil. Okay, so we've seen this from several different places. So no way they're giving that up. And no way that Axios deal is actually going to go anywhere, because they want to relocate a lot of this enrichment. They want to put it under supervision, and they did that. They did that before. They're not going to do it again. So I think this was the other day, yesterday, from Trump speaking at some TP event. And JD Vance was here too. We got to react to all of it, but maybe not the time tonight. But let's see what he said. I didn't get to watch this yet. I like to react to these fresh. Before that, let's see if we have any chats. I don't like to let these pile up on me. Like the video if you have not already, guys. Hard R, shout out to you. Welcome to the squad. Welcome, my friend. Thank you. Hard R OSS. Shout out to the OSS. Okay. Let us take a look at this video.
Not easy. They were living.
Oops.
With what they call the bully of the Middle East. They had the bully. Iran was the bully of the Middle East. They're not the bully anymore. With the help of everyone here today, this has been by far the most successful first year of any administration in the history of our country, acknowledged by everybody. To begin with, I ended 8 wars, and it may be a little early to say this, but if we add Iran and Lebanon, that will be 10 wars ended and many, many.
You will never, ever end the conflict between Israel and Lebanon. That I believe. That I'm confident on. I know that because they want to annex it. And what do you mean ended the war in Iran? You started it. What the fuck?
Millions of lives saved. Think of how many lives we've saved.
We just killed 3,000 people.
Not easy. They were living.
Goodness gracious. It gets worse and worse.
For you
I
now.
have Patrick Bet David reacting to this. I know you guys are tired of him, but we'll see what he said. I think I had one more clip queued up. Okay, so this is Trump from the White House lawn, I assume.
Very important is that
It's a bit low, isn't it? Let me turn that up for you guys.
Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that.
Oh, the fuck they haven't.
Iran's agreed.
I just showed you guys all the proof they have not agreed to that. And this is the thing, you know, I get it. Maybe posturing, brinksmanship, manipulating the markets. And that's what it is, actually. You got to realize, for Donald Trump, he's got to make sure the stock market is stable. He's got to make sure oil prices come down a little bit, you know. And so for him, if he's a couple lies on Truth Social away from $10 cheaper Brent crude and a little bit more of a stabilized S&P 500, well, then, of course, he's going to spout that lie. And he's going to do it continuously until people no longer believe him. But again, this is a situation of the boy who cried wolf. It's only a matter of time until people really stop believing him. Do you get it? And we've gotten to that point. Trump's Truth Social posts have now just become theater. I mean, he posted himself depicted as God a few days ago. He deleted it, which was an admittance to guilt. And now he is giving real-time updates about the quote-unquote war, as he has been prior to that God post. And every single time the parliament speaker responds, or Abbas Araghchi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, responds, they say, yeah, that's not true. And we know it's not true because the United States is still desperately seeking negotiations with Iran. And now, look, they say Iran is desperate for negotiations. I think Iran would love to make a deal, but we started this war. We started it. You know, Iran is the one defending themselves. We're the ones attacking. We're the ones who are really spending a lot of money unnecessarily. All of our military assets that were hid in Saudi Arabia at the Prince Sultan Air Base, that cost us a lot. Those E-3s, they're a lot of money. Those radar detection systems, they help us a lot in that region. They're gone now. And we're already low on them. They're not gone. Sorry, we're low on them. They're on their way of being gone. So, again, and this is what a war of attrition looks like. So when you say Iran is desperate, are you sure about that? I think we are desperate to get them to stop their enrichment, because if they don't, we have to fight even more. And the fighting has proved useless. It's not effective because it won't achieve the goals. We destroyed infrastructure. Cool. All right, but what were our goals before this war? Regime change. This is all from Trump's words. He has said regime change. He has said regime change before. Regime change, missiles, nukes, drones. Didn't do anything there. P. Hexet said we destroyed several launch pads, whatever. Yeah, whatever was above ground that we found, we destroyed. But we know they have underground cities building a lot more of this stuff, replacing what you've already destroyed. And the ceasefire has given them more time to do so.
Agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive.
Yeah, something's going to happen very positive, but at the same time, we just deployed another 10,000 troops to the region. Did you know that? And now all these manufacturing companies are making weapons. I mean, I don't know, man. The way the wind is blowing doesn't seem like Trump is really telling the truth here. You know? So. And this is him also acknowledging that he's willing to restart the war. Look, and I'm telling you guys, there will likely not be a deal. Okay? I'm telling you, there likely will not be a deal. And this is what Trump was asked as a result, as if there's no deal, right? Like, what happens if there's no deal?
Would you be willing to extend the ceasefire, or will the fighting resume, Mr. President?
I would say the fighting, if there's no deal, fighting resume.
Okay. And then
Definitely not a good thing to hear.
on gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed
They're not very high. Hello, it cost me $100 to fill my tank the other day. They're not very high. I think the whole chat speaks for me when he says they are very high, and they're increasing. Gas is up everywhere. What a lie. Look, I tweeted this the other day. See if I can find it. Bro, I was so pissed. It cost me $95 for a full tank. Could you believe it? And yeah, I pump premium gas, but everybody's gas is up. I put it on Instagram. This one was 88, but it was 95 at one point. But this shit, I said the cost of regime change used to be $65, $70 for me for a full tank. The other day was $95, bro. $95. Yeah, I suppose if you're rich, it's not a big deal, but Americans are poor, buddy. A lot of Americans don't have money. And by the way, the same retarded Americans in the South who support you are the ones who are probably going to struggle the most from this gas increase, because all of the high IQ MAGA base has left. You know, the people who actually have brains, like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, those people who have influence, by the way, they left the MAGA train. The only people left are like genuinely the red 1989 F-150 hillbillies. That's it. The base is gone.
to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon with the danger that entails.
Yeah. Like, I be driving in low boost now. My car is tuned and shit. I be driving in this eco mode. No pops, no backfires, nothing now. Gas too damn expensive. So, just kind of like, you know, it's pointing in the direction of a restart. And that's what everybody's saying. Professor Morandi, Suleiman, all these guys are saying there's going to be a second stage. The war is going to restart. And this is him going nuclear on Truth Social, as always. And this is what Trump has been saying. Now that the Hormuz Strait situation is over, I received the call from NATO asking if we would need some help. I told them to stay away unless they just want to load up their ships with oil. They were useless when needed. A paper tiger, President DJT, sorry. So again, he's just demonizing NATO for not wanting to die for Israel. Okay, cool. Totally based. And then I think we just read this nuclear dust post. And then this one, he went crazy. The Strait of Hormuz is completely open and ready for business in full passage, but the naval blockade will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran only until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete. This process should go very quickly in that most of the points are already negotiated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump. Okay, so Trump says here, remember, he says the naval blockade will remain in full force, but the strait is open. All right, that's an issue. And let's see if I can find the post here. And I'm showing you all of the conflicting points here. Mohammad Ghalibaf, the guy who was a part of the peace talks and the guy who was a part of the Iranian delegation, part of the IRGC, right? Speaker for the parliament. He says that the strait will not be reopened, or we won't work with the U.S. on the strait unless you open up this blockade. This is what he says here. He says, with the continuation of the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. He's talking about the blockade on Iranian ports. Okay? So after the 22nd, when the ceasefire is open, they're going to block the Hormuz again unless we get out of their ports. So I don't know why Trump is saying that. That's actually going to hurt us. And that's not going to help the negotiation. They've kind of done their part. At this point, we should probably do ours and get out of there. That would help the talks a lot more. Shows we're not operating in bad faith. So, let's see here. And then again, look how excited he is. Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open. What? And ready for full passage. Thank you. Okay. So, tweeted like 5 times, 5 different ways that we got the strait is open. We got the strait open. Like, hey, dumbass, it was open before February 28th. You started this problem. And people are saying, well, the United States is now selling oil to all of these empty vessels because they can't get money from the Gulf countries. If you guys don't know, 20% of the world's oil goes to the Strait. And so whatever. All of these Gulf countries, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE, and a couple others are responsible for a lot of oil export to European and Asian countries. They rely on them heavily. And now a lot of those oil vessels that deliver to those countries or belong to those countries now have been coming to the United States for some replacement in filling that gap or remedying the issue of missing oil. And so a lot of people are saying, well, the United States is making tons of money now. Well, then why are we so desperate to open the strait if we're selling oil? Doesn't work, okay? It sounds good on its face. It looks good on paper, but it actually falls flat on its face when you look at the logistics of it. We can't be the number one global oil export of the world. We are not geostrategically located to do that, okay? We're all the way in the Western Hemisphere, and the way these Gulf countries can export oil, the rate in which they can do it, the prices in which they can do it, is so much more effective and efficient for European and Asian countries to get it for or to get it from. If we were to try and fulfill that task, it'd be short-lived, okay? That's also to speak to the fact, or not even to speak to the fact that these oil vessels and these oil ships travel really slow, you know? So for them to get to the United States, get back, go through either the Suez Canal or go another way, whatever it is, it just doesn't work, okay? It's not going to be a long-lived solution. It's a short-term fix. Same thing with Venezuela. We cut off Venezuela's oil to China. Okay, Venezuela only gave China about 2 to 4% of their oil. The rest comes from Iran and the Gulf countries. And by the way, they've been getting it because they have free conduct through that passage via Iran. And their ships have been passing through the Strait of Hormuz despite the blockade, which shows you they have a strategic partnership. And Iran has been receiving likely weapons, but what we know publicly is radar systems from China to help fight and defend from the United States invading. Russia's giving them intelligence advances, which is why they know where to strike, how to strike, and why they've been hurting us with every single strike. So, you know, it sounds good on paper, but again, if we were benefiting from the Hormuz being closed by selling all this oil and the United States was aiming to be this global oil hegemon, in which I won't lie, it seems like that's what the U.S. actually intends to do, it's not going to work. NATO hates us now. EU hates us now. No country has voiced support for this conflict whatsoever. You think they're going to buy oil from us as a result? No, that's not going to happen. So don't negate the fact or don't forget that these Gulf countries still have a ton of influence. They have deep relationships, and they're going to embed those relationships even deeper now because guess what? The U.S. military bases that existed in these countries are now destroyed. And that's like the opposite effect of why they exist there in the first place. They're there to defend these countries. They haven't been able to do that. And now they're not there. We're just going to go back and spend billions of dollars to rebuild these military bases. Likely Mohammed bin Salman and all these other Arab leaders are going to tell us, no, it's okay, you can just go. Maybe we'll share a relationship strategically, but militarily, we don't want you protecting it anymore. Maybe we'll look to Russia or China for that. And that's a big issue. That's a big issue. So this whole, but we're selling oil, doesn't make sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense. If it really was the fact that our oil and us selling oil in place of this gap to remedy the global oil shortage, if that was actually advantageous for the United States, why would we fight so hard to open up the Strait of Hormuz? Why would Trump tweet 5 times on Truth Social inside of 4 hours that the strait is open? He's so happy about it, he can't help himself. But he's telling on himself, this means the United States will actually feel some relief as well. Gas prices are high for you. Well, we're selling oil. Groceries and gas is still going to stay high. You don't benefit from that. Big oil does. So let's watch this video of Patrick by David. By the way, I have some chat. Sorry. Turbo X1 clips. Turbo 1X clips. Oops. Hi, Ryad. Hope you're doing good. I was wondering if you saw what happened in New York with that 15-year-old kid on X that went viral. What are your thoughts? No, I didn't see that. What happened in New York? What happened in New York? I live right outside New York. Am I under a rock? For John Zirka's perfect impersonation, $3. What am I, a monkey? I got to perform now when you ask me to? I had a Zirka impersonation yesterday. People were loving it. Never. No, I'm not going to do it. Yo, Ryad, have you seen the doc Hypernormalization with Adam Curtis? It's super relevant, and now the doc came out 8 years ago and predicted this war. Yeah, I saw a few clips of it, but I never watched it in full. So, I could play my Zirka impersonation yesterday, since you want to see it so bad. I guess it was pretty, I'm not going to lie, that shit was pretty good. Loki was like, damn, I just freaked myself out. I sound like him. 72 hours. Let's see if I could find where it was. I'm not going to find it. If somebody has a timestamp, send it to me, and I'll play it on stream. But somebody just asked, what was the deal we made? I think you're asking about the nuclear deal. I spoke about it so many times, so I don't want to bore everybody to death. Just type in JCPOA on Google, and you'll see what deal we made and why Trump has fixed an issue we already took care of. Hey, Soulless Food, thank you for joining the membership, man. Shout out to you, bro. God bless. It was comedy gold. Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. It was funny. Zirka's easy to impersonate because, well, maybe I say that for myself. Maybe other people can't. But he talks in a really interesting way that draws you into what he's saying. You can't help but just listen. He lowers his voice. You know, he kind of really draws you in. All right, let's see what Patrick Bet-David said. Oh, shit.
Fucking.
I can't make this up. Look at this. This just came up my For You page. This is crazy. Myron posted it. Okay, let's see.
Myron, you have to fucking, and I know you're not going to want to hear this, when you're on the show with the bitches, and it's crazy because he's so fucking good at it. I looked at Myron the other day. I said, what the fuck? How does this guy talk to these bitches all night? And then he does his political stream? Because you're the incarnation of hard work. You're playing into who you are. But you have to fucking, if you do something, never do it for free. If you're good at it, you fucking make money on it.
Zirka monologue.
Yo, that's a spot.
That is pretty funny. Yo. Zirka's going to see this and lose his mind. Andrew Wilson's wife reacted. That's funny. Yo, Zirka's going to start dying. Yeah, that is a crazy coincidence. Wallahi, I didn't know that was 25 minutes ago. I didn't even know he posted that. No, but it's true, though. That's how he talks.
Never do something for free if you're good at it.
He told my brother that on X. I'll never forget in the X space. I thought that shit was funny. It's like, bro, he's not doing it for free. He's getting paid. All right. Patrick Bet-David. Reel it back in here. Let's see what he said. This is a 9-minute clip. Lord help us. Fifth Elemento says, should I go for that armor speed intake or for the Super Ryad debating? You know, bro, I'm not too sure what's the best company for B-58. I'm a broke Infinity nigga, so I wouldn't know. You know, but when I get my Beamer and I'm into it, I'll let you know, bro. I wouldn't know. But, dude, who cares? The B-58 is so reliable. That engine is so reliable, so I don't know if it really matters. I mean, if you're talking from a power perspective, that's probably what you're asking. I don't know. You got to ask the experts on YouTube. I wouldn't know, bro. I really wouldn't know. Whichever one sounds better, honestly. So, sorry, little card nerd talk. Sorry, guys. All right, so it's Patrick Bet-David. Let's see what he was saying in regards to the Strait of Hormuz being reopened. This is probably going to be rage bait for me. But a lot of people sent me this, so I was like, all right, I'll react to it. And I got a couple other things queued up here. Like the video if you haven't already. Yo, Stephen A. Smith has been hella into politics, by the way. Anybody see that? Here, let's take a quick break from politics really fast. I saw this compilation the other day. I have to react to this. Stephen A. Smith is actually a freak. Did you guys see this? If you don't know, he's like a sports analyst, but just listen to this, bro. I know I'm going to get copywritten for this song, so I may have to pull it out of the stream. So this is an exclusive segment, I guess.
No bullshit, Stephen A. No bullshit, honest answer.
I don't bullshit.
No bullshit.
I don't bullshit.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Do you,
Okay.
Stephen A., eat ass?
No. That's
You've
a
never
God's honest answer. Never.
Okay. Good. W answer. You shouldn't.
Never. Have you gotten your ass eaten?
Never. That's private.
There's no way. There is no way. Bro, just, yo, besides the fact that that is vehemently gay, just lie. Just lie. Why would you say no answer? That's like if you've murdered somebody and somebody goes, have you murdered somebody? Oh, that's private. Hey, you can also just say no, nigga. What the fuck's wrong? Why would he say that's private? The Stephen A. Freak. Fucking freak. Freaking A. Smith, nigga. What the fuck? Bro, she asked you, have you ate ass? You say no. Okay, solid answer. Real nigga detected so far. Now you admit to getting your ass eaten?
Haram!
That's gay. That's dirty. That's all of the above. Freaking A. Smith, bro. That nigga a freak. I saw that shit, bro. I was like, there's just no way. Because I've been seeing him a little bit more often. Because he's very into politics now. He actually mentioned Nick Fuentes the other day, which was surprising. But now he's like talking about getting his ass ate. Freaking A. Smith, man. What the fuck is going on with this guy? That's a humiliation ritual. Anyways, I don't even want to go into more detail about that. It's so freaky.
Stephen A., would you go a year without sex if it guaranteed the Knicks a championship?
Nigga, a freak, bro. Such a freak. There's no way he still works for ESPN saying this shit, does he? I don't know.
A year without sex? Nah.
It's Stephen A. Smith from ESPN in the house, and you're watching TAB Sports. Do not take your eyes off of it for obvious reasons.
He's such a horny freak, bro. Yo. Nah, bro. We not making a hype edit of a nigga who says he wants his ass ate. I'm sorry. We have to rebuke that. Nah, bro. No Stephen A. Smith glaze after that. Freaking A. Smith. I thought that was funny. I thought that'd be a little cute to show on stream, but that caught me by surprise. Anyways, Iran, right? Anyways, what were we talking about? Nuclear deal? You know, I think what's more important is Stephen A. Smith likes his ass ate. The fuck is going on there? Someone said bro needs Jesus. Bro, he needs a lot. He needs a lot of help. Freaking A. Smith. That's his new name from now on around here. All right, let's see what a numbers guy has to say. Let's see what Patrick Bet-David has to say.
Things going on. Look at Trump's tweet here, okay? If you want to play this clip.
Look at Trump's tweet here, okay? Because I'm a numbers guy. And when I see this tweet, the first thing that comes to my mind is the war is over. All right, I'm done with the impersonations. I'm genuinely gesturing. But I've got to have fun with this because Patrick Bet-David's political takes make me crash out in regards to this war. I can't.
It says Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for passage. Strait of Hormuz, he changed it to Strait of Iran. Play the clip.
Yeah, nigga, because that's their shit now. And we made it their shit by attacking them. Strait of Iran.
Yeah, screen for a reason. The Iranian foreign minister, who seems to be really the guy in charge, or at least publicly for Iran, just fired this off in a post on X, and I'm going to read it for you now. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of ceasefire on the coordinated route as already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So on that news...
Guys, I'm now seeing the Jaden Pierre situation in New York. I guess this kid was attacked and shot. I don't know the full story, but man, if that's the case, that breaks my heart. That's horrible. I'm looking at videos now. I probably can't even show these on YouTube, but that's horrible. So we may react to that after. Damn, man. That's sad. 15-year-old kid playing in the park was shot and killed in Queens, New York. It appears this was gang-related. It's unclear if the 15-year-old kid was the main target. Yeah, this happens like all the time, though, man. This is a constant situation in New York and major cities, really. But this one went viral, I suppose, because it was caught on video. He was stabbed as well. We'll read the news. We'll get the full story. Let me keep playing.
This is from the White House 24 minutes ago.
The stock market is flying through the roof. That opens in 28 minutes. So
White
we'll
House
watch that.
just tweeted this 24 minutes ago from the president. So that means there's a conversation that just had for this to be had. And then Kobashi letters also posted it, Rob. Iran has officially opened it up. In line with ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of ceasefire on the coordinated route and already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, what this means...
And that was from the Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi.
You know, economically, the market, Tom, what is the market looking like right now?
The market's on fire right now, Pat.
S&P 7123.
Oh, my God.
The S&P is at all-time high. NASDAQ is all-time high. VIX is completely low, meaning volatility is very low.
Dow is trying
to get back to the 50.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're back, baby. We're so back.
Oh, wait. So the United States economy is benefiting from the Strait of Hormuz being open and the ceasefire actually prolonging past 4 or 5 days. Oh my God, it's almost like this war was a terrible fucking idea. Thanks for the vindication, guys. The war is over. NASDAQ and S&P and Dow were all at all-time highs. Oil is back down to $90 a barrel, which is still bad. Oil's back down $20. Guys, we're so happy. Wait, but weren't you actually advocating for the war that caused all of those issues, though? LOL. Are they not embarrassed? Guys are over here raving. S&P 500 is so high. But 4 or 5 weeks ago, you were like, the Iranian regime, it's so bad. It's got to change. It's got to change. Yeah, you weren't really actually aware of the back-end consequences of starting a war with Iran, right? You didn't know. No one wanted to listen to me. Now everybody's Charles Schwab account is booming. Now everybody's trading futures. Everybody's going long. No one's shorting the market anymore. I told you this war would be a bad idea. Look at how the economy responds positively. NASDAQ is up. Everything is up. Oil is down. Like, bro. It's almost like you guys were wrong. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for the, in Adam, I'll tell you this. We were wrong about this war. Iran is in a situation where they can deliver asymmetric warfare. I'm waiting for that. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm waiting for that. Okay? Let's just admit we were wrong. I said from the outset, this war is a bad idea. Iran is in a perfect position to start a regional conflict, make our allies hate us for it, destroy our military assets that are casually right across the river you would call the Persian Gulf, not far at all for their mid-range missile capabilities, destroy all 13 bases, hit Israel, and still maintain their ballistic missiles and nuclear program so long as there's no ground element, because we have to go underground to get it. I said this is a bad idea. And Khomeini, the former Ayatollah who was killed on the first day of this conflict that actually charged up the country, by the way, said he would start a regional conflict. He told us this would happen. Now we got a crazier regime. We got regime change. Yeah, we did get regime change. We got a worse one. We got one that's actually going to really make a bomb now. Problem after problem after problem after problem. And by the way, the ceasefire may not even last. Who knows what happens on Sunday? I mean, look at how catastrophic this war is. Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey are all working desperately to try and broker peace. China's involved as well. They're all working desperately for the United States and Iran to come to the table on diplomacy. That's how catastrophic this has affected the world, or that's how catastrophic this issue is, and that's how the global oil market has suffered, to the point where all these countries are now working together. And they've built a loose axis. Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan. They have this like weird shadow alliance, if you've been paying attention. And so there's probably going to be this new Arab NATO nation that comes out of this, because they can't depend on the U.S. anymore. The United States is a hazard because we have to help Israel. And helping Israel pits us in a bad position. It pits us against our allies. It does. Because effectively, now we're pitted against every single one of our Gulf allies. And I'll tell you why. In the beginning of the situation, right, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia was like, hey, we want peace. Let's not do this. He told Donald Trump that, at least publicly facing. That's what the rhetoric was. And now the Gulf countries actually want to destroy the IRGC because they've been suffering as a result. And they don't want this disastrous terrorist regime to maintain power so close to home, that being of the Gulf countries. So it's like problem after problem after problem. And you would think these guys who motivated the conflict that started all these problems that I'm explaining to you in detail would go, we were wrong. But no, they're celebrating over the economy, benefiting from these closed ceasefire that may end on Sunday. All right, guys. Okay. Like, most indirect vindication. I'll take it, though.
Was back 1.1% today. NASDAQ up a point. S&P up 0.75 of a point.
Oil's down to 84,
almost
which you mentioned.
4,900 right now. Almost 4,900 for
oil's 90 currently.
gold.
Gold is 4,900. Bitcoin's at what? Where's Bitcoin at?
Bitcoin's,
75?
I think it's 75, I want to say.
Yeah, 75. So, but
76.
I want to know the details. I want to know.
Hazard, a shout out to you. Welcome to the group. I don't know if your name is Arabic. I said it Arabic, Hazar. I don't know how to say it. But shout out to you. Welcome to Ryad Squad. 07s. And then Mage McNetwork says, Patrick bin Sharmuta. No, I don't want to attack Patrick. I don't want to do that. I went too hard on him a couple streams ago. I don't want to attack him. Thanks for the $10. It's pretty funny. No, I don't want to attack him.
What was negotiated? I want to know what's being talked about behind closed doors. I want to know, what a part of it for me, like, remember back in like 2 years ago when I said one of the most important things for me on 2024 for the president to win? Do you remember what I said was one of the most important things for me? It was the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's very important for us to control the Panama Canal, right? Because long term, you don't want China to see what's their next manipulative game to play against the U.S. You know what's the next thing I want U.S. to have control over? Karg Island. I want us there. I want us to have in Iran. I want, because there's about 4 or 5 islands around there. I want us to have some kind of an influence over that, because
yeah, that's not happening without a full-scale regime change, though. So what are you talking about? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Iran is only willing to open the Strait on the stipulation and the terms that they control it. You know that, right? Maybe they'll work with Oman because they're on the other side of the 21-mile passageway. They're not going to work with us. That's wishful thinking.
If you do, then guess officially what you do, because the Panama Canal is important to China for what reason? Think about the difference between Strait of Hormuz and Panama Canal. How are they each important to China?
That's how they got the Venezuelan oil. That's how during embargo, that's how they got Venezuelan oil.
From where?
They got it from Venezuela and then through the Panama Canal. It went across the Pacific Ocean. That's how they got, that's one of the ways they were getting energy that they needed.
Today,
remember, I just debunked this earlier. It's so sweet because I said it already. China did not get that much oil from Venezuela. It was a negligible amount, maybe 2 to 4%. They can fill that gap easily with the Gulf countries and the pipelines, or with Iran giving them oil directly. About 14 to 15% of the total oil that they receive is from Iran, actually. So that gap is easily fillable.
Today, think about today in 2026 and the future. What role does Strait of Hormuz play for them, and what role does Panama Canal play for China and for U.S.? Moving forward, after what...
China's already received full benefits of the Strait of Hormuz. Whether it's closed or not, they still have safe conduct through the passageway because they work with Iran. They arguably probably gave Iran strategy or air defense radar or radar systems that help them shoot down U.S. aircrafts. They work together very closely. Don't listen to what Trump is saying. I told China to not help Iran, so China's not helping Iran. Trump goes on Truth Social and he says, I spoke with the Chinese Prime Minister Xi Jinping, and I said, don't give Iran weapons. And he said, okay, so we're good. Do you believe that? Is it that easy? Are you stupid? China's not our ally. They benefit from being an ally of Iran, not us, dummy. Trump won. No, actually, Iran won, because now they're going to be a fourth world power, like Robert Pape says. They've got the missiles, they've got the drones, they've got the support of China and Russia, and now in the next 6 or 7 months, they may have the nukes. That's a fourth world power. And now they've got the Strait of Hormuz. So...
we just learned the last 6 weeks.
If China doesn't have a more dominant negotiating position on both of those, preferably one, it means they're now at the mercy of other people, and they can't play below the surface because they need the energy.
So
it means they're at the mercy of United States.
Correct.
It means what I'm seeing right now, if I could just kind of encapsulate everything, we pull up this fear and greed index.
Sorry, incoming terrible analysis. I'm almost sure.
Right? On CNN, they always do
Greed
this
is
fear.
super high.
1 week ago, it was at extreme fear. So during COVID, oh my God, the markets, 6 months later, all-time high.
That's right.
We've seen this enough as grown-ups at this point to realize the market goes like this. But over time, everything's okay. It's World War III.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about Strait of Hormuz and Panama Canal. Let me stay on that.
He just completely shut down his analysis. I don't know if I even want to respond to it because Patrick McDavid just said, shut the fuck up. That was crazy. Okay, yeah. I don't even think that deserves a response. Okay, oil prices and the stock market is volatile. Hey, dumbass, regardless of whether this is World War III or not, or whatever, you're missing the big issue. We started a war for Israel. That is a problem. And of course, you will never admit that. Forget all the things in between. Forget all the intricacies. I'm just going to go straight for the heart. We started this war for Israel. Israel wants regime change, and Israel is the one who is at risk for their missiles program. Remember, Iran was never going to make a nuke. That was per a religious fatwa, and they were enriching at 60% for a reason. Had they wanted one, they would have got one a long time ago. So if that's the case, what threat do they actually pose to the United States? But the Beirut bombing, do you want to know something? Every single time something happened to us in the Middle East, like that or any other instance, we didn't know about it. You know who did? Israel. Did you know that? Israeli intelligence knew about that. So let me ask you a question. Who's a bigger enemy? Your adversary who you know is about to punch you or attack you, or your friend who knows your adversary is about to attack you and doesn't tell you? And matter of fact, he sits back and films it. Definitely your friend, wouldn't you say? But Israel's our greatest ally. You sure? Because they knew about the Beirut bombings and they didn't tell us. And as a result, I think we lost 200 plus Marines. We know Iran is not our friend. We knew after 79 they weren't our friends. So, again, we started this war for their benefit. There was no benefit for us. Charlie Kirk even said that. Could you believe it? The biggest Christian Zionist ever, Charlie Kirk, the guy who glazed Israel any chance he got, he said, yeah, that's Israel's war. We shouldn't do that. That's too far. Every former president said that's too far. And by the way, NASDAQ is up. Okay, what about the Gulf countries that were bombed? S&P is up. Okay, what about every other country in the nation, every other country in that region, all these GCC countries? What about them? They were hit with strikes. They were hit with drones. Now tourism is going to suffer as a result. If somebody wanted to go to Dubai today, the likelihood is a lot lower than if they wanted to go 6 months ago, because that region is volatile. There's a chance for strikes again in these Gulf countries. And a lot of these Gulf countries make a good amount of their capital or money on tourism. That's what bolsters their economy, that and the oil. It's like the big two. So not having tourism makes them suffer a lot, because now they don't get investment. Now they're not getting real estate. Now they're not getting a lot of things that once were going to put them in a position where they no longer needed to depend on the oil, because believe it or not, maybe in 20 or 30 years, oil will not be the hottest commodity for those Gulf countries anymore. They have to move away. That's why Mohammed bin Salman had this whole line project, Vision 2030. He wants to make it the center hub for tourism, traveling. He wants people to move to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is opening up real estate to non-Muslims. They want to feel the economic benefits of opening their country up to the world. And what's the number one thing that can put a stake right through that plan? Missiles and drones flying over your head from an Iranian regime right across the Persian Gulf. So yeah, maybe our stock market is back up to where it was or even higher. And by the way, this is a temporary ceasefire contingent upon peace talks that don't seem like they'll get anywhere, because we're asking Iran to destroy the uranium and they're saying no. So this is likely short-lived, but even if it's long-lived, even if it lasts for a while, the Gulf countries are still suffering. Now they don't have their military bases. Qatar's military base, the biggest one in the region, Al Udeid, was destroyed, and they gave us $1 billion in the beginning of the fucking year. You think they don't feel betrayed? They sure as hell do. That's not good for us. It's very bad for us. And these are the things these guys casually step over. Can we flex our guns and our muscles in the Middle East like we could before? Maybe not. Certainly not after this conflict. This was disastrous, and the United States was embarrassed on a global stage. But the B-2, bro, but the B-2, but the stealth, but the F-35. It doesn't matter, bro. It does not matter at all. Get over yourself. Get over the nerdy military terminology. Get over all of it. I know we are strong. I know we have more amphibious vessels than the next two powerful countries combined. I get that. I get our aircraft carriers are untouchable. I get it. You're still not understanding what a war of attrition means and what it looks like. These past 40 days have been a clear example, one that I can't put into words better than what you have seen. So, again, it's like every single time these guys talk, they're just stepping over all the issues that have been created from this conflict that did not exist prior. So, big deal. NASDAQ is up. S&P is up. We knew that would happen. And by the way, that's because Trump is lying. Okay? Trump has been lying for weeks. Do you not know that? You know, I remember on March 26th or 27th, one of the 2 days, Marco Rubio says, we need to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That matters. March 28th, he said it again. Same exact thing. He echoes the same exact statement to the media. So that seems to be, at least from the administration, the number one goal. Then Trump says on like March 30th, no, we actually don't need the Hormuz, or I think it was April 1st, I can't remember. He says, no, we actually don't need the Strait open. That's NATO's need, not ours. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. This administration is running around with their head cut off. And anybody who's intellectually honest has been able to observe that fact. So tell me this. What goals have we achieved? Nothing. Everything is back to where it was prior to the war. We just lost. Absolutely lost, full-fledged. That's disheartening for me to say as an American, but we lost. Hello, we lost. These guys over here bragging about the S&P 500. Give me a fucking break. Tell me you know nothing without telling me you know nothing.
For me, Panama Canal, Western Hemisphere, where we live, that keeps us safe, that if they want to do the next COVID, they can't. So now we need to make sure that the current president gets along with U.S., but who the hell is going to be the next president? If all of a sudden Panama's next president is a socialist, communist, one of these Lula type of guys that takes over, then it changes the game. So long, and it's very possible that something like that could happen because of what's going on in that region. So we have to control that part. But to me, with Strait of Hormuz, if China...
The Panama Canal is not an issue. I don't know why he's talking about that.
Had a great relationship with Iran. They signed that 25-year, $400 billion contract, whatever the agreement was, that they had the two of them, Rob, if you want to pull that up, the 25-year, $400 billion agreement between the two. If U.S. is now at Carrick Island, and you notice what Trump said in the tweet, what did he say? What did he call the Strait?
Iran. Strait of Iran.
So what is he saying in the negotiation? What is he saying in the negotiation?
Do you think that was intentional? They didn't call it Strait of Hormuz?
No, it's Tom. Trump doesn't mess up words.
Yeah, somebody.
Trump, when he says the Gulf of...
Trump doesn't mess up words. Okay. I beg to differ. I think Trump has messed up every single word he's uttered in the last 6 months. I'm not trying to hate on Trump too much, but he's obviously a dysfunctioning older man.
He's not fooling around.
So he went from Strait of Hormuz to Strait of Iran?
Yes.
And you're saying that there's a hidden message.
Okay, and 3 weeks ago he called it Strait of Trump. What are you getting at?
No, to me...
Well, what do you think it is?
To me, I think something happened behind closed doors, and he told him, he says, you know what I'm even going to do? I'm even going to change it. As long as we become partners 50-50, here's how it works. We're going to have a military base there. We're going to help with support as well, but you can't have Iran anymore. And if you even think about having nuclear, but I'm going to give you the name. Because remember back in the days,
Okay. So your prediction is that we're going to do diplomacy with Iran contingent upon them giving up their uranium. Let's not forget, we started this war to get rid of the uranium, but also get rid of the regime, and also get rid of the missiles, and also get rid of the drones, and get rid of the Islamic extremism. And we expected the people, the locals of Iran, to do it. That's why we involved CIA and Mossad in their protests, as admitted by Mike Pompeo, by the way, former director of CIA. So that's not a conspiracy. So we tried several different ways to meddle in their affairs, to try and launch a coup d'etat, the CIA specialty that we've been doing for years now. Didn't work. We start a military invasion, doesn't work. We try and do diplomacy, doesn't work. Now we have to share some sort of military intel with them, give them money, release sanctions. Way to say we just lost. By the way, do you think for a second Benjamin Netanyahu is going to allow the United States to work with Iran in tandem? Because let me tell you something. Israel, as well as the fact that I will admit, yeah, sure, they're concerned with the nuclear program, but they're really concerned with the proxy network. So what does that look like? Where's that on the table? The United States is going to join Iran in Karg Island and build up these joint military operations and have this beautiful diplomacy with the country like we've never seen before, while Hezbollah is casually hanging out in southern Lebanon, reaping the benefits from their bolstered economy? Are you crazy? That's asinine. Listen to yourself. That makes no sense on paper or literally. That makes no sense. No matter whether you materialize that or you propose that idea, it falls flat on its face. It has no legs to stand on. What kind of heretical statement was that? Let me get this straight. Benjamin Netanyahu, the guy who convinced Trump to start this war and not listen to his own IC. So the Pentagon and all of intelligence in the United States tells Donald Trump, Mr. President, maybe this war is a bad idea. Donald Trump goes, nope, Netanyahu told me it's a good idea. I listen to Mossad more. That guy has a great deal of influence over Donald Trump. And then he got Jared Kushner and Stephen Witkoff in Trump's corner as the cherry on top. His hand-picked Middle Eastern envoy, his delegation for peace talks. Do you think that team, do you think that circle is going to actually listen and try and work with the Iranians? No, they're going to listen to Israel. That's what they've been doing. Stupid. What? That's so stupid. Benjamin Netanyahu convinced Trump to bomb the shit out of Iran. Now Trump is going to turn around and say, fuck you, Netanyahu, I'm working with Iran? Are we conspiracy theorists here, or like, what are we doing? Trump is obviously influenced by Israel. And Israel's goal is to continue this war and make it painful for the Iranians and eventually effectuate regime change. Or decapitate or really fracture the IRGC to the point where they no longer pose a threat to Israel. Strait of Hormuz is up in the air. Who knows what happens with that? But to say that we're going to work with Iran now, that's why he called it the Strait of Iran. Yeah, maybe Trump did tell them we'll call it the Strait of Iran and we'll be hands off and you can control the strait, just give up the nukes. And that's what I'm saying when I say we are so desperate to get rid of those nukes. That's why we can't just walk away without diplomacy now. And if we don't reach diplomacy, we're going to have to fight. So, yeah, that's not happening. And if that does happen, you best bet Israel's going to get involved and step all over it. Like they did with Lebanon in the first ceasefire just a week ago.
I was being interviewed, and what did the Shah say? The Shah said, Mike Wallace asked him a question. He said, Mike Wallace is the dad. Chris Wallace is the son.
Yeah.
Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah.
Mike Wallace asked him the question, if you put Shah and then put
Is this the Persian Gulf thing?
Put Persian Gulf, and look at the way he answers it. He says, try to find a short
it was a conversation with the Arabian Gulf versus
Watch
Persian
this.
Gulf.
Start it from the beginning. Go ahead.
As you know, I have been across the Gulf that you call Persian and they call Arabian.
Why do you call it Gulf? You have been to school, haven't you?
Yes.
What was the name that you have read during your school days?
Persian Gulf.
All right.
But they do call it Arabian.
They can call it whatever they want. See, this guy with a G.
So what was he saying about the word Gulf?
But words matter.
Yeah.
Words matter. So if Trump, knowing words matter, look, some of the biggest deals that happen, a bigger company bought a smaller company, and the only reason the smaller company wouldn't allow the bigger company to sell is because of name rights. And the bigger company is like, no, we're going to name it AT&T. We're going to maintain your name, not our name. So a $200 billion company buys a $50 billion company, but allows the $50 billion company to take over the name just to, because that matters a lot. That kind of stuff matters. So for him to say, the Strait of Iran, I guarantee you this is part of the negotiation that's taking place for vanity reasons to give him something. But I know he got, because he said, I don't want 90% of what I asked for. I don't want 90%. I want it all.
Yep.
I want to know what all means.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I'm going to have a brain aneurysm. Okay, so where do the proxy networks lie? Because I just read the foreign minister of affairs, that being Abbas Araghchi, of Iran, and I just read Mohammad Ghalibaf's statement, the parliament speaker. They both said they're not giving up enriched uranium. They both said the nuclear program is going nowhere. They both said several times in the past their proxy network is going nowhere. By the way, these are the things that have kept alive Iran, or kept Iran alive in this war for the last 45 days or 6-7 weeks now. They're going to give that all up to do a little bit of diplomacy and make money with the United States? Are you absolutely out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Hey, they're making money on the Strait without us. They're making money on that Strait without us. We're blocking Iranian ports, and they're blocking the world's oil export, 20% of it. And every country in Asia and Europe is complaining. Added pressure to the United States, added pressure to NATO. And so Trump says, please help me, the whole world, help me open up the Strait. Somebody step in. Nobody fucking steps in because nobody's about to fight Iran for Israel's behalf. Trump is pissed. Now we're going to work out this banger deal where we work with Iran and we control the Strait together, and the United States makes $50 billion and they make $50 billion, and it was 5D chess. It was the best plan. You could have seen it coming from all the way along the first day. Really? This is a level of cope I didn't think it would get to. Iran has a proxy network across the entire Middle East, really. Iraq, southern Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. All of which keep Israel at bay. This is their resistance. This is the axis of resistance. And obviously, Israel and the United States want that proxy network gone. That's why we killed the leader in Qasem Soleimani 2020. That's why we killed the leader of Hezbollah, the strongest version of the proxy group, or the strongest part of that proxy group in southern Lebanon, in November of 2024, if I remember correctly. And what has it done? Effectively nothing, because they still pose a very large threat. Yeah, we weakened the proxy network, no doubt. The killing of Qasem Soleimani put a huge dent, but it didn't destroy it. And so obviously the United States is coming to the table, and something's got to happen with that proxy network. You think we're going to ignore Israel and just do a deal with Iran and allow Hezbollah to attack Israel or fight with Israel for the next few years? And by the way, if we do, let's just grant this crazy asinine theory. Let's say we do a deal with Israel. Hezbollah and Israel are still fighting. Or sorry, we do a deal with Iran. We work with them on the Strait of Hormuz. We call it the Strait of Iran. We give them all the title. We give them all the rights. We make the money, like he's saying in this analogy here. Israel and Hezbollah fights. They start trading strikes. They start trading bombs. The civilians start dying. Iran's going to say, hey, U.S., get your boy. Are we going to be able to control Israel? If you've been paying attention to history, the answer is absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. We never have been able to control them. They control us. They have more influence than we do. That's just the truth. So, this is, and again, this is like a really sad room of guys who are trying so hard to make the Trump thing work. And it's like, buddy, Trump's over. He just pretended to be God the other day. Just give it up. Just join the other side. I know you'll lose some money. I know you'll lose some approval. It'll be for the betterment of a long-term future. Just give it up. This is like several boomers in a room trying to cope about the fact that Trump is making the right idea. He's absolutely made several mistakes over the last 6 weeks. It doesn't take an expert to see it. We're going to call it the Strait of Iran and make all the money. All right, that answer is one of 50 questions. And of those 50 questions, none of them are going to be met with concession from Iran's side. And I just read you the statement from Iranian spokespeople that said, we're not giving up uranium.
Okay, I want to know what he asked for. I want to know what this all means that he asked for in a negotiation. We're going to hopefully find out here pretty soon as we go with this, and more talks come with this. We have something very, very special to introduce to you here today from Vinny. So Vinny, share with us what good news you have.
Well, Pat, that story leads into exactly what's going on with the brand new hat. I've been so excited. We finally...
Okay. So, yeah. Horrible analysis. But expect none more from these guys, Look, I mean, my prediction, like I said earlier, there's two things that will happen. The U.S. will find a strategic way to pull out and make this look a little bit less painful than it really has been in reality, and try to paint some picture that we came out victorious. And for that, I'm all on board, and I hope that's the case. Or this war restarts and we enter a second stage. Donald Trump was asked on the White House lawn, if the United States is not able to come to a deal with Iran, will you resume this war? And he answered without hesitation, yes, I will absolutely start the war again. We know Trump lies all the time, but I think we can take him up on truth for that because he did it the first time. And that was something the last 5 sitting presidents were hesitant to do. He did it. Surely he'll do it again. Obviously, these talks and these peace talks really are important for several countries in the region. Pakistan, Egypt, Qatar, and then, of course, Turkey. And the rest of NATO and the EU want peace to be brokered. And so that adds to the pressure, and hopefully that adds positively to the idea that the United States will eventually concede and give Iran what they're asking for in some regard, and we can get some of what we're asking for. Unfortunately, though, we've put ourselves in a no-ask position. What does that mean? We just bombed the crap out of them. We destroyed the previous nuclear deal that guaranteed some sort of peace for the future, and now we're saying give up all your uranium. Maybe we had a chance to make a demand like that prior to the start of this conflict, but why would they trust us? We've been killing their leaders. We bombed the school, killed a bunch of girls because of faulty intelligence, something Trump lied about. I mean, top to bottom, it's just been a shit show for the United States, and we've been operating in bad faith. Then it doesn't help that you got Pete Hegseth saying send him back to the Stone Age, and Trump is saying we'll end the civilization tonight. Now we're going to work together on the Strait. I mean, who believes this crap? You think Iranians are stupid? You think Persians are stupid? They're watching the same news we're watching. They're watching Trump the same way we're watching him. His erratic statements, all of this. So let's hope that the United States does just pull out and we save this for another day. And that day that's saved for another time hopefully falls at the point where another president will be in office and then they can handle it. Because the way I see it, the IRGC will only talk about enriched uranium again with a new leader. One that's not a part of MAGA, by the way. I don't think they're going to want to talk to Marco Rubio. And I don't think they're going to want to talk to J.D. Vance. They spoke to him for the first time last Saturday, and he made the same demand that Trump was making since the beginning of the war. So it made no difference. I think we need a completely new leader. We need a non-MAGA leader. We need a president who is actually America first, and Iran has to see that. Because the Parliament Speaker, Mohammad Gharibaf, has been no stranger to the fact that Israel controls the United States. He said it explicitly several times in statements that Israel controls the U.S. That's why they're at war with us. And so what Iran has to see is a candidate for the United States presidency in 2028 that actually cares about America and doesn't serve every single one of Israel's interests without hesitation. If they see that, then maybe, and only maybe at that point, will they actually talk about giving up the enriched uranium or at least lowering the enrichment to the point where it's not near weapons grade. That being 90%, they're currently at 60%. And we had that with the JCPOA at 3.67% or something like that, which is just enough for power plants and everything like that, but not enough for a weapon or a bomb or anything that can be used against humans in a lethal fashion. So, lots and lots of Hasbara, lots and lots of silly claims, but let's be real here. You know, Sunday decides the next few weeks or the next few months, really. Let's hope they can come to a deal, but like I said, and as I've said before, it's really unlikely. It's unlikely. So let's look at this situation that happened to this child in New York, which is absolutely tragic. Shout out to you guys. Got about 1.1K in here. Like the video if you have not already. Shout out to One Chest. All right. So what happened here in New York? And I got a super chat, so let me read it. Have you heard about the hadith? This is from Musfet. He says, have you heard about the hadith that says once Iran will fall, the Arab states will fall afterwards? Yeah, it is life. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Who knows, man? Who knows? Look, I mean, that lines up. You know, just to speak on that a little bit, and this is obvious, but maybe we have some new people in here, and so hopefully I'm not too repetitive. I apologize if I am. Iran is the last leg in the Middle East that keeps Israel in control. Why do you think my language is similar when I say keep Israel at bay? The proxy network keeps them at bay. Israel has systematically destroyed every single rival nation or regime in that region for the last 60 years, really. Okay? You have Syria, you have Afghanistan, you have Iraq, you have Libya, you have several others. And so, and then you've got the clean break in 96, and Scott Horn went over it very well in detail with my brother yesterday on his stream. Go check that out. But historically, they've been working very hard for regime change. And so Iran is the last one that opposes them. Other countries have either normalized relations with them and vowed not to attack them or signed the Abraham Accords. And so Israel knows they've got no one else to worry about except Iran. But Iran, of course, has their presence set in southern Lebanon, in the Gaza Strip, and then in Yemen, and some provinces in Iraq as well. And so for Israel, that's the last leg that they have to defeat in order to gain their ultimate mission. That I'll be a little bit more vague about because of the platform that we're currently on. But I think you can piece together the rest of that scenario. So, yeah, Iran, for all intensive purposes, I'll dumb it down for you, are the last real niggas left. Really. That's what it is. They are the last real niggas left, and without them, the United States has no power to flex in the Middle East, by the way. Remember, if the IRGC exists and Iran is worried about that existence, and if the proxy network exists and Israel is worried about their existence, sorry, I meant Israel, well, then the United States always can step in and police or mediate the situation. That gives us a lot of power as the upper brother to stop the little brothers from fighting continuously. Southern Lebanon, Israel, West Bank, Gaza, Yemen, all these different countries. And once Israel has no proxy network to worry about, once they don't have an IRGC to worry about, they won't need to call Washington. They won't need to call Trump and say, we need help. Do you understand? And so let's go back. How many times has Israel betrayed us? How many times have they posed as American citizens, as Mossad agents with our passports to commit terrorist attacks and done other things? Several times. And so if they've done these things and they're responsible for it, and they've undermined us several times and put us in a bad position globally from an optic perspective, well then, what does it look like when they have full autonomy in the Middle East? What does that mean for us as Americans? It's a dangerous situation. And of course, all the neighboring Arab nations of or next to Israel probably don't like them, but they would never attack them because you want to know who has a nuke? Israel. They do have a nuclear bomb. They have nuclear assets, and they will use them. They threatened to use them several times back in the 70s. That's why we stepped in, so they wouldn't use them. Like I said, and I say it again, it's like a dog on a leash that you can't control. That dog controls you. So, yeah, if Iran falls, maybe the Arab nations will fall, because who's going to stop Israel? Who's going to... At the end of the day, say what you want about the Sunni Shia issue. If it wasn't for Iran funding Hamas, would they be able to stop Israel in their bombing campaign on Gaza for 26 months, or at least fight back to make it a little bit painful? Would they be able to? The answer is absolutely not, and the Gaza Strip would have been ethnically cleansed. Hamas is the center point that stands between the ethnic cleansing and the removal of the Gazan people and Israel's goal. They stand between that. They make it difficult. They jump out of holes like fucking Mario and bomb tanks and jump back in through their tunnel system. So they make it difficult for them. That's funded by the IRGC. So say what you want. This is what Ismail Haniyeh has said. This is what Yahya Sinwar said. They all said it's because of Iran that we have this power. Not me. I'm not saying that. Hamas officials said that. So what does that look like when the IRGC doesn't exist? Southern Lebanon. Hezbollah is the proxy group there. They whooped Iran's ass on the ground in 2006. Sorry, they whooped Israel's ass on the ground in 2006 and made them pull out. And so, again, you know, you can ask this question repeatedly over several different theories or several different hypothetical situations, and the answer is varyingly different when the IRGC does not exist, but leading to the ultimate conclusion, which is that Israel will actually achieve their goals of annexing these countries or annexing these provinces or these municipalities. The West Bank, another one. So, and the West Bank is not met with much resistance besides the Palestinian people and the PLO, and that's a different situation. But ultimately, you can imagine what the Middle East looks like without no Iran. Checks and balances, people. That has to be there. And we can casually step in and tip our finger on the scale and be the mediator and be the police. And we were doing that And we had our bases in these Gulf countries, but now that they're destroyed, I mean, are we going to be able to really utilize these Gulf countries for our own benefit? Geostrategically, they're very important for us. And the United States historically has fought very hard to remove Soviet influence from the Middle East. Very hard. And Russia has always died for influence in the Middle East. Do you get it? When Bashar al-Assad was in power in Syria, Russia capitalized on that. And so the IRGC in Russia had a lot of influence in Syria. That's not good for the United States, and obviously it's not good for Israel. We know that. Russia was the one, or rather the Soviet Union, were the ones funding Egypt and Syria during the Yom Kippur War, where they closed in on Israel and actually made them lose almost for the first time ever on the Sinai and then northern Israel, on the border of Syria and the Golan Heights. We were whooping their ass. And then what happened? Russia was funding them. That's why they were able to do that. What happened? Then we stepped in and shut that shit down. So, again, without resistance in the Middle East, then it's a different game. It's a whole different game, one that we have no ball in, one that we have no ability to flex our muscles in. So, lots of issues top to bottom. These are the things that people don't talk about. These are the things that you will never hear on PBD Podcast. But you'll hear it with me and my brother. We'll talk about it. You know what I mean? I mean, we funded Osama bin Laden in the 80s. We funded Osama bin Laden to fight the Soviets. And he won. And why am I mentioning the whole issue with Russia? Because now we lost our influence in the Middle East. Our bases are gone. Remember, Iran only attacked those bases because they belong to the United States. This is asymmetric warfare at its finest. They didn't attack those bases. They didn't attack these countries because they hate those countries. No, dummy. They attacked those bases because they belong to us. And so they know if they attack those bases and they attack those countries and target intelligence assets belonging to us or Israel in those Gulf countries, that's going to make those Gulf countries hesitant to work with us again, because now we pose a moral hazard. Now, our positioning and presence in the region is a green light for Iran to strike them. It's a target on their back. And that opens the door wide open for Chinese or Russian influence, because Iran works very closely with China and Russia. And so the Gulf countries may recognize that and go, since China and Russia, or Chinese and Russian military targets or military assets won't be a target for the IRGC, we should just use those instead. That's real. That can be real. That's a legit theory. Lots of issues there. And obviously, as the United States, we've went as far as to fund people like Osama bin Laden to prevent that very thing from happening. Well, now with this war, we just opened the door for it. Do you get it now? Do you see why every president said, no, I'm not doing that? Even Bush said, I'm not bombing Iran. We let Saddam Hussein try and do it in the 80s, but we didn't do it ourselves. That's a whole different problem. So let's see what was going on in New York. I'm yapping, but let's see what was going on in New York with this young kid.
And first tonight, we're following breaking news in Queens. Another shooting, another teenager killed.
This happened in St. Albans. A 15-year-old boy shot in the chest.
Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon is live on the scene with the breaking information. Sonia?
Yeah, Sade and Mike, police tonight are looking for the person who fired a single shot during a melee on a basketball court on a warm evening. And they have video of a young man seen running from this park. Neighbors tell us this park is especially disappointing because it has been a safe place for kids and even home to programs aimed at preventing gun violence.
It's devastating. We cannot keep losing our children.
The loss of a 15-year-old from a bullet to the chest is hitting hard tonight for the community that enjoys Roy Wilkins Park.
Kids dying, it's not cool.
This young man could see.
And guys, this is what happens when the weather warms up. You know, here in Connecticut, I'll just say this very quickly. Here in Connecticut, I'm not too far from places like Bridgeport and New Haven, if you're familiar. And every time the weather warms up, gun violence goes up increasingly. So, or gun violence goes up a lot. So this is the reality of the spring and summer for these states here in the tri-state or Northeast as a whole.
teenagers fighting by the basketball courts just after 6.
I heard a shot go off, so I came running over here to make sure everybody was okay, especially my friends.
He saw the boy wounded on the ground.
I know him from coming over here to play basketball. He's a good basketball player. Cool kid.
Detectives spent the evening gathering evidence from around the basketball court and playground.
It is normally pretty safe, but somebody is bringing guns into our community and putting them in the hands of our children.
Younger and younger, they're getting guns now.
And the younger they are, community advocates say, the more support they need.
I don't know if it's the guns, though. And that's super conservative. I know that's super right wing. Is it the guns? Or is it the behavior of the people with the guns?
To prevent this.
Help build programs.
And that's the never-ending question, right? That sparks a 6-hour-long debate, but seriously.
So these young people can have something to do after school.
We're expecting our kids to come in and celebrate and enjoy this family and enjoy time, not to get shot.
And police say that 15-year-old who we're told goes to a school nearby was pronounced dead tonight at Jamaica Hospital. Again, they do have video of the person believed to be the shooter. No word on what that fight was all about. We're live in Jamaica, Queens. Sonia Rincon, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
You know, and me and my brother were talking about this yesterday. And I know I stay away from the race stuff, but it's like, hey, you know, when are we going to call out the elephant in the room? They say, well, who's giving our kids guns? It's true. Yeah, who is giving the kids guns? I suppose that's a problem, but there's an underlying problem to that problem that's pre-existing and a lot larger. What is with the behavior of our people? What the fuck are we doing? Why are kids shooting kids? Why are kids stabbing kids? Why are kids obsessed with this gang culture and this gang violence? Every time the weather warms up, it's like 5 or 6 people die a month in any major city or borough, this being Queens in this situation. And this is what I ask people. I say, where are we going as a people? Are our hands on the steering wheel? Are we actually driving ourselves in a productive and proactive direction to become better? And the answer is kind of no. It's like black people take 2 or 3 steps forward and we achieve something, and then we take 5 back, and we continuously do that. And it's like this very slow regression ever since the 60s and the 70s. And it's increasingly frustrating to see this and breaks my heart. It's unfortunate. Prayers out to the family of that 15-year-old boy who was shot in his chest. Who knows how long he survived for, how much pain he went through. I don't even want to talk about those things, but it's terrible. And, you know, earlier today, I was on the phone with my mom. My mom called me, and she was about to condemn me. She was mad at me because if you didn't see yesterday's stream, me and my brother were reacting to LeBron saying that he hates Memphis and how the black community came from him. And then we made fun of, you know, Lamont Hill and stuff. And my mom was telling me she was planning on calling me and reprimanding those statements, telling me, Ryad, you shouldn't be saying these things on stream. These are risky things to talk about. Be a little bit more careful. And then she had a situation today. My mom got into like this altercation where I guess she was parked and then somebody was blocking her. And all you need to know is she was in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And, you know, she was being given a hard time and things almost got violent. She had to call the police. And my mom is a very sweet lady. She wears the hijab, you know, super unassuming. She looks a lot more Arab than I do. But regardless, you know, she called me and she was like, you know, I was going to tell you, you know, don't talk about these things, whatever. And then that happened to me. And of course, on the other end of that instance were some blacks and Hispanics, you know, big surprise. And so she said it was just funny that I was going to condemn you for saying these things, and then it happened to me. And it's just this constant behavior issue, you know, and it's a behavior issue. It's behavioral, and it's taught, and it's perpetuated in our community. So, you know, I'm not going to do the whole like rip on them. And, you know, we did that last night, and that's my brother's thing. That's not my thing. I won't do that, but it's disheartening. And instead of going, and this is what I really want to see, instead of saying, but the guns, you know, the guns are the issue, when are we going to say the fucking kids are the issue and the parents of these kids are the issue? You are who you hang with. You are who you're raised by. You are a product of your environment. So you're shooting people in the chest. Let's not talk about the guns when a 15-year-old is shot. Let's talk about who the fuck shot that 15-year-old and why they thought it was okay to do it and who raised them and who was around them. It's usually the same people that look a lot like I do. And that's the fucking problem. And because now when I walk down the street or you walk down the street, if you're black, we're grouped in with this nonsense. And this is what I said before previously. I don't want to be synonymous with such poor behavior, with such violent and erratic behavior, but I can't be white. I can't be Hispanic. I'm black. And by the way, I wear my heart on my sleeve when it comes to my skin color. No shame there. But I have to be the first to condemn my people for such actions. And I'm not going to sit there and say, it's the gun. It's not the fucking gun. It's the people with the fucking gun. That's what it always is. And is there some conversation to be had about gun control and how accessible guns are and everything? 100%. I'm not disengaging that. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm not ignoring that. And that's a left argument. But so to speak, I'll actually give that argument credit. I think one of the hardest things to defend on the right is gun control because it does get to a point. You've got mass shootings. You've got Newtown. You've got all these different things. And so I suppose there's an argument from the left that actually echoes some sort of truth. But at the end of the day, when blacks are killing blacks at a record rate every single year in major cities like Birmingham, Alabama, and like in New York and others, well, then it makes you think, is this a gun issue? Is this really a gun issue? Hey, let me tell you something. If you are watching this and you wanted to go get a gun, you could get one. Probably could. Whether legally or illegally, you probably could if you tried to. Right? Where there's a will, there's a way. But of course, in the United States, it ain't so hard to get your hands on a gun, whether it's legal or not. And why am I saying that? I say that to say, you make the decision not to do that, whether you're black or white or Spanish. You make the decision not to go acquire one illegally and kill somebody. They do. So again, is it a gun issue or is it a behavior issue? We have to think. And sometimes that thought process can be self-degrading. That's at least how it's perceived. But that's not how it has to be taken. It's not self-degradation. It's honesty. And that honesty is the first step to the betterment of our people. But without that first step that I seem like the only one who's be willing to make, well, then we will never get anywhere. You know? And this is why we talk about this shit. Somebody in the chat said, you're not black, you're Sudanese. All right, bro, I can't win. I think I saw that in the chat. Whatever you call me, at the end of the day, whether, and I know I speak Arabic and I'm Muslim and I'm from a country that speaks Arabic and I suppose it's technically the Middle East, whatever you want to quantify me as, I am black front facingly. Obviously my skin is dark. You know, I ain't got the softest hair in the world. You know, I'm black. Hello. So this is why I talk about these issues, because these people are representative of me. And so am I. I'm representative of them, but I do my part. I walk into a room and people take me seriously. I have a clean record. I have good credit. And if you're black and you do as well, God bless you and good for you. And that's what I love to see, because at the end of the day, I'm not super obsessed with tribalism, right? I'm not super, into this idea of, my people, but there's some piece of it there. I'm happier to see a black person doing well than I am to see a white person doing well, because I'm black. So I'm synonymous with that behavior. So it enlightens me, or rather it increases where I am. So, I don't want to do the whole tribalism thing, but it's like we have to take some pride in ourselves. That's what I'll say. I'll end it there. If I keep going, maybe I'll get some people triggered, but it's like somebody tells me, some black kid was shot dead by another black kid, and I'm like, that's just another day in New York. Unfortunately, that's just another day in these major cities. Birmingham, Alabama, all these cities that are rocketed with murder. Chicago, I guess, is one. All of them. So it is unfortunate. But you're not black. Yeah, I'm synonymous with this shit, though. That's the problem. And that's not something I can change. And I don't want to change it. I want to be proud of my people, but they make it really hard. They make it really hard. I spoke about that on stream the other day. I said every single time there's a let out somewhere in New Haven where there's a bunch of black people, there's always some shots that are rang off 10, 20 minutes after. It's like you put them in a large gathering or a large group, and the violence is just, it's not a matter of if, it's when. It's guaranteed. And no other group of people, when they congregate, do that shit. Let's see, I got some chats here. Yo, Ryad, can you name your top 3 favorite and funniest guests on Fresh and Fit? Jamal Mubarak, bro. Top 3 favorite and funniest guests on Fresh and Fit. Who's my favorite? I mean, there's so many guests for me to only choose from 3. Zirka was funny as fuck. We have to be honest. Zirka's hilarious. Nick's show was really good when he was on a panel with all black girls. That was hilarious. I always love Sneako's bits, especially in the beginning when he first came on. Those were really good. I don't know. Top 3 guests on Fresh and Fit. Yeah. I mean, these are probably the basic cliche ones. I'd say Zirka, Sneako, and Nick are my favorite guests that I've seen. Zirka's just really funny. And I don't know if he was high on coke or whatever, but...
Shut the fuck up, bitch. A man is talking.
That shit was funny. Yeah, Tommy's good. Tommy's really good. There's too many. I can't think of them. But that's the big 3. Let's be real. Tate? Yeah, Tate was good. I mean, you know, Tate's going to do what Tate does. Tate was funny. Especially like the very first ones. People don't know. My brother did a show with Tate before Tate really exploded. Very long time ago. 6ix9ine was funny. Should we watch a little bit of that right now? 6ix9ine were very funny. I know my brother's about to go live in 15 minutes, but let's spend the last 15 minutes having fun instead of talking about why black people are having issues. But it's unbelievable, man. Our children can't even go to the fucking park. You know? This is why kids are inside on their phones all day. This is why no one has social behavior. This is why no one has social awareness, emotional intelligence, because we're stuck inside because, you know, you get shot in the chest for going outside. Is what it is. Shout out to Sneako in Malaysia. Super aura. He was with the Prime Minister. Did you see that? All right, let's pull up some Fresh and Fit until my brother jumps on. And he just woke up. He just texted me. I told you guys he was sleeping. Guy gets no sleep, man. He works overtime, so I just thought, let me go live and fill in the gap while he's slump. Make myself useful. But yeah. Oh, I think somebody chatted me something to react to. Sorry. I remember now. I'll pull that up for you, bud. And guys, while we're waiting, please like the video. Shout out to all of you. Appreciate the love. Let's see. Is it gone? I'm not ducking your clip, bro. I can't find it. Hold on. All right. I can't find it. Sorry. Can't. Turbo Clips, shout out to you, man. Welcome to the squad. Someone said Myron was tweeting until noon. Yeah, bro. He's nocturnal. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. So, and it's hard for me, right? Because dude, working and streaming is tough, you know? But even then, my brother's still way more busy than I am, so no excuse. Gotta jump on, can't act tired, can't cry about it, you know? Wait, what is this? What? Hold on, we'll react to 6ix9ine in a second. What is this? This is not real. This isn't real. This isn't real. No way. No way.
Welcome, Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
Bro, she's never going to win this meme war, bro. She's never going to win this meme war. And then you got this clip, obviously. I'm sure you guys have all seen this from Drewski.
And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean
to go this far for a bit, it is really crazy. And of course, the shit was funny. And I'm going to say what Sneako said. I'm going to say what my brother said. All right. Oh, wait. You guys were not able to see that. Sorry.
The holy blessed
Hang on.
Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible.
Here we are. Sorry, you couldn't see that. This is what I saw previously before that.
Go. Turning Point USA, CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
Someone said L Boomer, fuck off. I do be on some boomer shit. Top Goy, welcome to the membership. So this is Erica Kirk coming out to the TPUSA event. I mean, I guess she always comes out like this, though. Isn't this the song that they always walk out to? And then you got, of course, Drewski's meme on Erica Kirk. Let's see, where is it? It's on his Twitter. How recent was it? Yeah, there it is.
Get on your feet, boy!
Like, bro, how far are niggas going for these jokes, bro? This is crazy.
I serve a righteous.
Hey, 3 Diglets, shout out to you for the 20 gifted, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, 3 Diglets. God bless, bro. Always showing love. W's in the chat, 07s for the 3 Diglets, man. Thank you so much.
God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all
Yeah, Erica Kirk does have those like really scary deep blue eyes, though.
his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible.
Again, and it's like, look, this is what I was saying earlier before my boomer ass realized you guys didn't see anything I was sharing. You know, that's cool and all, but are you going to talk about you know who? And he's not. And so it's corny until he does it. You know, it's not funny until he actually does it. I ain't gonna lie, though. Erica does have that scary...
Call me what you want.
Bro.
Go down that rabbit hole. Whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love...
Let's see if she does the stare here.
My husband get murdered. They are rocked to the core. So why every single day do they have to be dragged through the mud, analyzed, hyper-analyzed?
There's a clip where they're like, what do you want to say to Candace? And she's like, just stop. Stare straight at the fucking camera. I ain't gonna lie, there is a little bit of, you know, some unsettling nature to the way she talks on camera sometimes, I'll be honest. But yeah, again, and it's like, look, it's cool and all. But I mean,
on
like,
Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the drunk drawer, and it was just all us. And that's what I always wanted to make so special for him, was coming home. I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home. Home is here for you. Your food will never be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine. And I just want to encourage spouses.
Benjamin, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. If you just got a subscription, say thank you in the chat. Shout out to Benjamin. Appreciate you, bro.
Don't get mad. It's so easy. Don't do it. He would walk through the door, drop his bags.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to attack Erica. And somebody's going to say I'm doing that. I'm not. I'm just showing you guys the clips, and then you can make your own discernment as to, you know, whether those tears are real or not. But, you know, the whole Kirk conspiracy and everything, and then her being so emotional, but then not being emotional, and like no one knew if the tears were real, you know. Oh, and she spoke today, actually. Let's see what she said.
90% voter turnout in the midterms and fortify the red wall for the next decade. That's what we need to do.
It ain't happening. Democrats are about to smoke your ass in November. Let's just be real.
But at the same time, you have people out there who are actively trying to tear this country apart. They love to start fights, dividing us all against each other, spreading negativity, all to get clicks and influence the algorithm to maximize profits. Meanwhile, building is hard. Getting out the vote, talking to real people, spiritual revival, that's actual work. That is actual work.
Yeah, but there's a shift, though. See, there's a shift. And this is what I'm saying. I said this the other day on stream, and everybody got so mad for me. Or mad at me, sorry. I was saying, like, there's a big turn. And the straw that broke the camel's back was the war in Iran. Obviously, prior, Trump was unfavorable because of the mass deportations that he promised on, and that hasn't really been happening. ICE has been having some issues. But overall, the Republican Party has just been taking L after L after L. The GOP has really made a fool of themselves. And so whatever, right? But the problem is now Democrats smell blood. Obviously, the left smells blood. And so they're coming. And in 2028, they will probably take a majority of the House or even the Senate. And then in 2026 for midterms, they'll take a majority of the House and maybe even the Senate. And then in 28 for the presidential run, it could be a democratically elected president, you know, or a Democratic president that's elected. And so like Charlie Kirk being assassinated was really one of the turning points, you know, no pun intended, but that was one of the turning points. Once he was gone, the whole MAGA hype train, young right-wing base that was a little bit more neutral on Israel, wasn't so this way or that way about it. Well, now they're all watching Nick Fuentes, you know, now they're all watching Myron. Now they're all watching even Sneako. You know, they've switched to other people. They've switched to other content creators. And obviously people need help to think. People need someone to teach them how to think. And Charlie Kirk was the biggest political influencer in America at the time, I think, no doubt, when he was sadly killed in September. And that's gone. And Erica Kirk is not going to fill those shoes. And some may say it's because she's a woman. Yeah, obviously. But even then, dude, even if it was a guy, you're not going to be Charlie Kirk. You know what I'm saying? So Kirk was a workhorse. Kirk was very good at dialogue, very good at debates, very good at convincing people, very good endorser for Donald Trump. He arguably won him the election, paired along with everybody else that was campaigning for Trump. He won him the youth vote. Turning Point was taking over the country, going to these campuses, selling out, or not really selling out, but you know, for as long as you could see on these quads and on these lawns inside of these campuses, people were there listening to him. So he had a massive amount of influence. And so now the real turning point is Donald Trump is unfavorable. Donald Trump did everything Kirk actually didn't want him to do, like going to war in Iran. And on top of that, now people like Gavin Newsom are coming out of the woodworks and others. Before you know it, 2026, you know, November midterms, Iran is actually trying to span out this war to reach midterms. That's the IRGC has said before. They want Trump to feel this political defeat, and it's probably going to happen. Who's going to a Turning Point event anymore? Still a lot of people. I know the one in Arizona that my brother had went to previously had a good turnout. But over time, man, these guys are going to lose a lot of motion. Without Charlie Kirk, Turning Point is not going to have the same weight or gravity that it once did, unless somebody fills his shoes. But I don't see who can do that. I don't see who can do that. Was it going to be Matt Walsh? Michael Knowles? I don't know. I don't think so. So, unfortunately, it looks like the last leg standing for the Republican base that wasn't really privy to foreign policy is now gone. You know, and now Trump has awoken the masses to poor foreign policy, a great example being this war in Iran. So there is a turn, actually, and build the red wall is futile. It's a fleeting gain. And I say that as a, self-proclaimed conservative. I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. I think we're cooked, unfortunately. And you see that locally. I mean, look at Mar-a-Lago. You see that. So, and this is the thing. This war is like the easiest thing for them. I've said this historically since I started streaming. This is the easiest topic or conflict to get right. If you cannot get this right, it's over for you. And so the Democrats, of course, are going to weaponize this, whether in good faith or bad faith, who knows, but they're going to weaponize this to win in the midterms. Best believe, and in the debates in 2028, they're going to say, the GOP, your administration, started a war with Iran, one that did not achieve any nuclear goals, one that did not destroy the missiles program, and one that started a regional conflict that lost us partnerships in the Middle East. What are you going to say to that? Because I don't know a response. I can't even imagine myself on the other end of the table trying to debate against that. So, you say what you will, but all roads lead to Rome. YB Lit, thanks for the $5. So true, King is shitty more will crash out this summer. Yeah, it sucks, man, but what are you going to do? Let's see, have I missed any chats? Top Goy joined. Red Pill Clipper W Ryad, shout out to you, bro. You're doing a great job clipping. Keep it up, bro. Alan Domer, $2. Thank you for that. 3 Diglets. I saw the 20 gifted already, right? Yep, that's the same one. Benjamin, thank you for the 5 gifted. And then 3 Diglets says, or Alan Domer, sorry. Do you think you and Myron might do an episode Kurdish history and its current geopolitics? I would like to see you guys talk on it. Much love. Yeah, so I have a couple things planned, guys. I'm going to plan on, I have an Osama bin Laden documentary that I've been working on. And I haven't been able to continuously work on it because I've been busy streaming and editing videos. But now I have somebody editing my videos, so I may be able to continue that documentary. Hey, Chief Taro, thank you so much. Don DeMarco for our guy, Chief Taro. Thank you so much, man. Huge support of the show. W Stream, brother. God bless. 07 to you, bro. Almost said O/. God bless, bro. Thank you so much, man. W's in the chat to him. 07's in the chat. Appreciate you, bro. But yeah, I have a documentary I want to work on with Osama bin Laden. I just got to find the time. 40 hours to work. A lot of time to streaming, which I love to do. Thank God I'm doing it. But to answer your question, Domer, I want to do one nice detailed video a month. That's the goal. Not yet, but maybe after the summer or starting in the summer. One nice like 30 or 40 minute, really fun, easy to watch documentary where I go into some sort of topic that's desirable, you know? Not sure how to really word that, but something like Osama bin Laden, the Kurds in the Middle East, you know, Kurdistan, the history of Kurdistan, something like that. I really want to do something like that. Similar to like what William does. I really love his stuff. I want to have not the similar style landscape of channel, but I want to be able to give you guys one really good video a month that I make from scratch. Not easy to do. Obviously, I don't have the capability of doing it yet. I edit myself and everything, but at some point, that's a goal. And I think you guys will really like it. So, anyways, let's see. 3 Diglets. She's going to run for president. Watch. Thank you for the $10. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. That'll be crazy. Could you imagine Erica Kirk running the country? We're all cooked. Albo Ace, do you ever plan to move down to Florida with Myron? Also, something about Erica Kirk just seems fake to me. I get those vibes. Yeah, everybody gets those vibes, man. Thank you for the $5. Move to Florida with Myron? Maybe one day. Yeah. I mean, of course I'd love to, but, you know, I've got my job up here and stuff, and it's got to make sense. Not for me, really for him, you know. He's got the operation, so once it really, like, works for both of us, I mean, let's be real. Me and Myron in person doing a show, you guys would love that, and I would love that. We would all love that. It'd be so much better. I think the time will come one day, but we'll see. Ricky Ricardo, to know about how Ziles infiltrated churches in America, look up the history of Aquafield Study Bible. Yep, I've seen that before. Tell Myron to wear me next stream. Myron's Punisher shirt. Thanks for the $2. Okay. Yo. Yeah, I know about the whole televangelist situation. I'm aware. Can he transfer to Florida? Yeah, here, I'll say this, bro, before I close out, a little bit of yap. I really love Connecticut. I love New England, bro. You know? But Miami mogs. Miami does really mog badly. Every time I go to Miami, I'm like, damn, Connecticut sucks ass. Then I'm back in Connecticut, and I'm like, but this is my home ground. These are my roots, you know? Myron's Punisher shirt. Okay, I'll tell Myron to wear the Punisher shirt next time I talk to him. But, okay, so anyways, I went over really the whole situation in Iran. I know I've been covering war, but guys, as time progresses, expect me to go into like more normal things, like reacting to things domestically, domestic policy. I can't wait for the midterms and the coverage of the midterms to update you guys on what's happening there, but that's a little bit of a ways away. And keep this in mind as well. Not that it matters that much, but I am moving next month. So this poverty setup that you see behind me, my bed in the back and shit, will no longer be. I will be streaming from my new apartment that I'm moving to in June. In the middle of June, I'll be moving. And hopefully, I'm not sure how it's really going to look on camera yet. I haven't tested it. But I'll be streaming in like the main space of the apartment, like the living room kind of. And I have like a skyline view on the 17th floor. So hopefully it looks really nice. So we're moving. We're upgrading the show. We're trying to make it good for you guys. God bless all of you. I want to make sure the watching experience is pleasant. Remember, I'm a viewer too. I watch a lot of streamers. So I know what you would want to see when you're watching a stream. And I want to make sure I can piece that all together for you guys for a nice experience. But yeah, Connecticut mogs, bro. Connecticut mogs. I have a white collar job. I definitely do not have a blue collar job. I can't do any of that shit. And I'm actually kind of handy. You know, I could do shit to my car. I've changed my intake. I changed my oil. I can change my oil. I choose not to. You know? What's the biggest thing I've done? Maybe spark plugs. Myron's Punisher shirt. We are at our apex, then he retired me. We were at our apex. Yeah, yo. You know, if you've been watching Fresh and Fit for a while, Myron there's been a change. He's gradually gotten a lot nicer and softer with the girls. His patience has gotten longer. I always credit him for it. And if I were ever on Fresh and Fit, like running the show, bro. Yo, those girls, here's the thing. I'll say this. You guys think I'm like the calm one? And there's some truth in that to some degree. I am like kind of calmer. But when I get mad, you know, every dickhead who's like, when I get mad, no one wants to be around me. I'm not saying that's me. But like, definitely when I'm bothered by like a girl, I do get angry as well. Like I can have those moments. If you were on one of Suleiman's Twitter spaces like a week and a half ago, I crashed out on the Zionist. And it was uncharacteristic, so I'm not going to play it on stream. But like I crashed out. So, you know, there's that side of me. I know I'm not trying to be the guy, yo, when I see red, bro, everybody better get the fuck out the way because I don't care. But, you know, I do have like a little bit of crash out gene in me too. You know, it's genetic. 3 Diglets. He's calmer. He just Frank Castled the entire panel. Hold on. We have to react to that. Forget 6ix9ine. Hold on. I didn't see that. Wallahi, I haven't seen it. I didn't get to see it. You know, Fresh and Fit goes late. I got work in the morning. These girls be pissing me off. I don't catch every single show. Wait. Was that the last show, 3 Diglets? Heated debate, entire panel gets kicked off. All right.
If you have more than $250,000
we're gonna watch
in a bank
this.
or retirement account, federal law does not protect what's.
I'm playing it. What's the timestamp? These niggas got timestamps in here? Where's the moment? I'm looking in the comments. You know, I could just kind of scrub through the video and wait till the seats are empty. Hang on. All right. Should be around here.
A room full of men.
How about this? How about all you guys get the fuck up out of here? How about
Swear to God, I haven't seen this yet. I saw some people talking about it, but I didn't watch it. All right, hold on. Let's see how we got here. Let's go back a little bit, right? Let's have some context. Hold on. Let's go back like a couple minutes.
ladies, do you guys remember how this conversation started?
Like,
Ladies, do you remember how
but
this
I'm just saying,
conversation
okay, but who's been talking?
Who the fuck is this bitch talking to? What the fuck? Oh yeah, deserved castle. W castle. What the fuck? This bitch off a rocker, nigga.
Well,
Do you guys remember how this conversation even started?
Nope.
No.
There you go. It says a lot.
We talked about beauty because she said sexualizing herself, remember? And then you joined her. Remember that? And I said women sexualize themselves like, you know, only you can sexualize yourself after being...
It's their hottest commodity. That's their best form of currency, of course. That's how the world works.
Being sexualized, and we talked about how women sexualize themselves because looks matter a lot for women, and it's your main agency, and beauty matters a lot. Remember that whole conversation?
It's my job now.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but then you tried to say I get sexy for...
Is she an OF girl?
For myself, and I was like, not really. That's a lie. You get sexy for men.
Before I was getting sexy for myself, but now it's for my job.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that when women say I get sexy for myself, that's a lie.
But it's not for my personal life. It's only for like one. My job.
Okay, but you've made your hottest commodity lucrative. Your main form of currency, that being your beauty, you monetized it. So that drives his point home even harder.
You have something you want to say?
No, just a little bit shocked.
About what?
How dumb this panel is.
No, I mean, I just think that was really fucking rude to ask that in the middle of the show.
About
saying,
women. That's how fucking dumb it is.
Like, you're retarded. But
No,
that was really
you're
rude to say that. Like, if you got to go, then just get up and go.
Yeah.
Like, this is an opportunity
Are
for
you
y'all. But, like, if you guys want to go ahead and...
I mean, if you're really that upset with the podcast, shouldn't you have left, 2 hours ago? This is a 2-hour podcast here. And maybe they started on Rumble late, so they were probably here for several hours. Like, of course you love the clout. There's 10,000 people watching.
Get up and leave. We're just going to take your shit off.
We weren't trying to be rude. We just got stopped, and it was like kind of an opportunity. It was just one.
Yeah, it's really a big...
Why is she talking like that? What the fuck? Is there a retainer stuck in her mouth? The wrong way? Sounds like a Minecraft villager. What the fuck?
Fucking opportunity. And your friend is saying a dumbass
Why is
question
it
in
a
front
big
of a big
opportunity
I don't
to
need
be
this.
talked shit on?
I mean, it's just
Fine,
an
are you ready, though?
opportunity, so-
It's an opportunity because there's 10,000 people watching, and you're probably an OnlyFans girl. And if you're not, you're going to get followers and a ton of attention from it.
A room full of men.
How about this? How about all you guys get the fuck up out of here? How about that one? How about you guys all get the fuck out of here?
Profit off of talking shit on women and fucking descending, condescending women. And
Just get your dumb ass out
I
of
don't
here,
even know
bro.
why you're so proud of that shit. Why are you so proud of that shit?
Why are you here still? Get out of here.
Why are you
Just
proud of
leave.
that shit,
Just
Myron?
leave. Just get the fuck out of here, bro. You're literally
You live in a different planet.
You're fucking
Different
retarded.
world.
And honestly, it hurts my brain to talk to your dumb ass.
Yeah.
Do you go home?
Like this girl, you guys come on a show, big ass show. Your dumb ass friend says, "Should we go? Like, get the fuck up out of here. You guys are OnlyFans chicks. Like, this is an opportunity for y'all. So everybody, get the fuck out of here. Honestly, I don't really want to talk to any of you guys.
Mic is off. Get the fuck out.
Perfect.
Anymore. Just leave. Get out. Of here.
But they were trying.
Bro, just everybody can leave, bro. I don't give a fuck. Honestly, everybody get the fuck out of here.
They were trying to do very good.
This shit is retarded. It's annoying as fuck. I don't enjoy talking to women. This is stupid as fuck and annoying. Oh God. Why are you still talking? Shut the fuck up.
But
dude.
you make it worse.
Holy shit! Like
She's still going. This bitch got no hair, bro. This bitch got waves. This bitch spinning. Shut the fuck up. Get out, nigga. And she's ugly. The one in the middle was kind of decent, but she sounded like she had fucking shit in her throat. She's like, yo, bro. And this is the thing. You guys don't and I mean this. I don't mean this in a bad faith way. I'm telling you. To get on a stream and you turn the lights on and the chat is moving. There's thousands of people watching you. There's people always criticizing what you're saying. I've gotten a taste of that now. To add women who are counter-opposing, who are opposing your worldview, and 8 of them debate with you on a table every single day, 3 times a week. There's a reason why my brother loses it with these bitches, bro. There's a reason. There really is a reason. So, it's hard. It is not easy. Because even after doing this, and what am I doing, right? I'm just talking to you guys. I'm giving my political analysis. I'm giving my takes. I'm reacting to stuff. I'm having a good time, and I am. I'm having a lot of fun. But after you're tired because you are for all intensive purposes, you know, you're putting on a show. And it's not easy. And I'm not saying, boo-hoo, oh, it's so hard. Better than a 9 to 5 all day. But it's still not the easiest thing. When you add women to that, you exacerbate it significantly. And so these crash outs, although some of them may seem a little bit unreasonable, this one seemed very deserved. But previously, maybe he's crashed out on girls and kicked them out. Some would say prematurely. You got to understand, man, it is so stressful to do this every single fucking night. It's so annoying, especially when you hear the same thing over and over and over again. None of these girls come with new arguments. They just say, well, I don't like that. I think that that's misogynistic. Well, why? Go ahead and explain. I just don't like it. Imagine doing that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It can be a little bit draining. And so, of course, the show goes well, and it's a great show, but there's a reason why he reaches a boiling point. And the benefit is it's good content. I'm enjoying this right now. This is good. So, you know, but it gets tough. It gets tough, man. After hours is not for the weak. You know? After hours is not for the weak.
Shut the fuck up. You're annoying as fuck. You look like a dude. You look like a fucking dude and you're still yapping. Your mic is off. Nobody cares. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You literally are fucking retarded. You're incredibly retarded.
Do you get my point, though?
You
Nobody
don't have
cares.
a point. You're fucking stupid. Just leave. You have no points,
Nobody
bro.
cares.
You live in a fucking clown world. You're fucking retarded.
Your show is crazy.
And you're a dumb slut.
could
Get
do
the fuck
better.
out.
But you're on it, though. But you're on that show. You willingly went to that show.
Be a better fucking person.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. Honestly.
Frank Castle.
Fucking retarded, man.
Full panel.
Yeah, bro.
Probably came in so excited in the back room, getting ready for the show, super nervous, excited. Now it's the worst show ever. Okay.
Like, yo, this shit fucking pisses me off because it's like, bro.
You know the worst part?
Like, nigga,
there's
like, fuck
talking.
these bitches, man.
It's so far gone. It's unrepairable at this point. Nah,
Fucking retarded, bro.
We've done it before.
Like, I fucking hate this shit. Like, it's like, bro, oh my God. I don't have the patience for this shit, bro. But, like, been streaming all day.
Yeah.
Like, the
This is golden.
last thing I want to do is
on.
talk to retarded, ungrateful
Let me go back.
bitches. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Single moms talking shit. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Should we leave? Get the fuck out of here. And get up and leave.
Be our
And leave.
guest.
We're just going to take your show.
On.
One more time.
I mean, it's just
Bye.
an
You ready, though?
opportunity, so, yeah.
A room full of men.
How about this?
I
How about all
appreciate
you
it,
guys
though.
get the fuck up out of here? How about that one?
Yeah.
That's gold. How about this? All of you get the fuck up out of here. B. Grezzy, thank you for the $5. He says, would you ever get on FNF as a guest? Yeah, 100%. One day, inshallah, that will happen. W. Ryad, you should do a stream reading Osama's letter to America. Thank you, Beast, for the $8. Yeah, I read a little bit of earlier. Last stream, I read a little bit of it, but it's like 4 pages, right? It's 4 pages, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll do like a whole Osama segment. You know, Osama's a very interesting guy. An evil person, but an interesting guy. Engineer, billionaire, educated in Islam. Pretty interesting guy. So I think his history, his biography is one that's worth noting. And like I said, I want to do a documentary on that. But yeah, I mean, you can't help but sometimes the FNF is really good, bro. Like the castles are awesome. That's OG Myron right there. Gotta love it. Maybe we'll get that again tonight. Yeah, so they're going live in a moment. Let's see. Yep. So I got a kick notification. Here, before I leave, guys, go on Instagram right now. Please stop what you're doing and follow my clips page. This is my clips page on Instagram. It's Ryad Pilled. Okay. My editor, Halimi, is uploading 2 or 3 clips a day, maybe 1 clip on a slower day every single day, obviously. And then this is my actual Instagram here if you want to give me a follow as well. But the clips page is a lot more important. This is what's going to help me grow the YouTube, make me more money, escape my shackles or escape me from the matrix, release my shackles. And then, you know, a little personal, little plug here. This is my Instagram. You know, we getting fly on niggas. Come on. Not fly? Said Tel Aviv impressed. Come on, bro. We're runway shit. Okay? This is my normie Instagram. But no, check out the clips page. And then check me out on X. That's Ryad's Report on X. Of course, you're on the YouTube already. Mr. Ferdinand said, bro, you should have seen how the Puerto Rican girl was going back and forth with Myron. Literal liberal speak. Liberal freak, I think you meant. Yeah, and look, honestly, we'll react to more F&F clips so you guys get to see the red pill side of Ryad, if you will. I did one a while ago with James Fishback, and you guys really enjoyed it. So we'll do it again, God willing. But it was really fun. It was really fun. But it does get monotonous. You know, it gets redundant. Because no girl poses an argument that's new. No girl brings something we haven't seen before. So it's just refuting the same thing in a different way. Which is what makes it interesting, right? But I'm telling you, I say this all to say my brother definitely has more patience than me. You guys, oh, Ryad's so calm. No, I just haven't had to talk to like 5 stupid girls 3 times a week for the last 5 years. You know, that's why. That does a number on you. Ryad, hey, what's up? Says, funny as fuck. You ever seen the show live in studio? Yes, the old studio, not the new one. I haven't even gotten to see the new studio, but I will, inshallah, soon enough. I'll go take a look. But yeah, so follow the clips page. Like I said, it's here. Ryad Pilled. And then my actual Instagram is linked here if you want to follow it. Sometimes I'll just, and I give updates sometimes on my story. Sorry, I'm far from the mic. Here we are. I give updates sometimes on my story if I'm going live, you know. So if you want to know ahead of time what time I'm going live or whatever, follow me here. Then, of course, follow my ex, Ryad's Report. I be cooking on here, you know. So, shout out to Sneako. We stand with the Pope. Yes, we do. Fuck MAGA. W Catholicism. W Christianity. L MAGA. W Christianity. L MAGA. Someone said after hours is headache maxing. Yeah, bro. That shit really is headache maxing. But, yeah. So, anyways, guys. Love all of you. W Stream had a lot of fun. Go check out After Hours. One of the mods will probably link it in the description, or sorry, the chat. Oops. And check out my guy One Chess. He's in the chat right now, clipping my Instagram or putting my Instagram clips page on. If you want personal training, if you need a good personal trainer, hit him up. He's got the sauce for that. You can find him on Instagram or X, One Chest 8-Pack Trucker. And until next time, guys, you know, until next time, I'll be live not tomorrow, but Sunday. No live tomorrow. My brother will be on tomorrow. Sunday, I'll be back. And Sunday will be a good day because that's when the second round of peace talks will happen. And so, God willing, we can reach some sort of diplomacy and the United States is no longer at war with Iran. That is what we are praying for. That is what we are hopeful of. There's a chance. I won't say there's no chance. Is it likely? Probably not. If you're a student of history, and by history, I mean the last 40 days, but we'll see. We'll see. Love you guys. Until next time. Peace.